Welcome to the Oak and Onion Board Game Podcast, where we discuss the modern board gaming hobby and other things we're currently nerding out about. I'm Chris.
And I'm Joel.
And we are here to remind you that whether across the country or across the table, the best things in life are enjoyed with friends. On today's episode, we discuss Origins Game Fair, game stores, and everything in between. But first, let's talk about what we've been enjoying off the table as well. And I just want to say, Joel, Boomer Sooner. And I know you don't follow college sports like I do, especially OU sports, because you probably don't care because you're in North Carolina. But OU's baseball team had one of the most historic postseason runs ever. And Monday night capped it off with winning the national championship.
Hey,
and it was so historic that they were one of the last four teams that made it into the tournament, rankings wise. And they beat the number 2 team twice and several, I can't remember all the rankings, but they worked their way through the postseason, beating all teams that were ranked in the top 10 to 15 at most, multiple times, most of them. And most of those games weren't even close, including the final game of the championship series. They won 13-2.
That is awesome.
It was quite a ride. And it was fun to watch. So just want to say, Boomer Sooner, shout out to the OU baseball team. Congrats, guys. Can't wait to see y'all play again next year.
Can I give a quick sports shout out too, as long as we're doing sports shout outs?
Sure.
All right. So Lawrence, Kansas, my hometown, is hosting the Algerian soccer team for the World Cup. And if you look up stories anywhere on the Algerian soccer team and Lawrence, Kansas, what you will find is a truly heartwarming thing about the way in which the town has embraced this Algerian soccer team. They are,
awesome.
selling Algerian goods all over downtown Lawrence. They, in the leading up to the Algerian team arriving, they have been the library has been showing Algerian films and trying to educate people. And it is just awesome to see my hometown be in the news for this incredibly positive thing of just embracing people, welcoming people. We live in very divided times, and I just love seeing this story of people everybody in Lawrence, Kansas decked out in Algerian soccer jerseys and things like that in order to just celebrate these incredible athletes and make them feel really welcome. So good stuff, sports stuff on your front, sports stuff on my front. I love to see it.
Yeah. And the University of Kansas being one of those higher ranked teams that OU beat on their way to the championship. So
yeah. We're not baseball people. Come on.
Well, I think we've both been watching some good movies lately. So what have you been watching?
Well, I think that we both have seen a movie recently that we have not had a chance to really talk about yet. So maybe we could start there. Last night went and saw Disclosure Day.
Nice.
Amelia and I know you have seen it also.
Yeah, we went and saw it last week.
Nice. Oh, you're a week ahead of me. You're living in the future.
Sure.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I feel like it was good Spielberg, not great Spielberg, but it had a lot of enjoyable elements to it. I had a few quibbles with maybe some of the character turns where it seemed like a few characters did 180s out of the blue for no discernible reason that I could see. So I'm trying not to get into spoiler territory, but at least twice characters said things where I was like, okay, where did that? Yeah. That's the opposite of what you've been saying or doing up to this point.
Yeah.
So, but I liked it overall. I thought it was a fun time. How about you?
Yeah, I think the way you said that, it's good Spielberg, not great Spielberg. I feel like it's good. I really enjoyed it. I had a couple of main gripes. Number one is our own fault. I forget what happened, but we were 2 or 3 minutes late getting into the movie. And so it was in the middle of the opening sequence. I don't think we missed anything super important, but there may have been something there right out the gate that we missed. I don't know.
Probably not. Actually, one of the things I really did like about it was it starts in the middle of the story, right?
Okay.
It starts this isn't a spoiler because it's literally the opening scene here, right? It starts when he is the female lead Jane has already been, I guess she's not the female lead, his love interest Jane has already been kind of kidnapped, and he is trading a backpack to get her back, right?
Okay.
Or at least that seems to be what's going on. And so like you have as the audience like no full context about what's in the backpack, why was Jane kidnapped, who are these people, right? And I thought that was actually a really strong way to open. So even coming in a couple minutes late, if you had that same experience of like I'm not
Yeah.
totally sure what's going on, I think that was the intention anyway. So
Okay.
so
Well,
no
and
big
he
deal.
was in the process of like running from them while they were trying to get him. So
Okay.
we might have walked in right as it started.
Yeah.
So that's good to know.
Yeah.
Um, I I thought it was really cool. My favorite like overall thought of the movie was that watching the trailers a few times in theaters, the movie storyline was nothing like what the trailers made you think it was going to be,
Okay.
in my opinion, right? And this may be a little spoilery, but I'm not giving away plot details necessarily. But like my interpretation of the trailer was that scene where Emily Blunt's character is doing the weathercast and just starts talking in the alien language. I figured like that to me seemed like this is going to be like opening sequence, inciting incident, and then the whole movie is going to be about an alien invasion.
Mm,
That was not at all the storyline. Like that takes place probably halfway through the movie,
yeah.
right? When you're already introduced to the whole setting and scenario of where we're at. So I appreciated that it was kind of like alien invasion adjacent, where the
Mhm.
aliens aren't the focus of the story, because that's been done so many times, right?
Yeah.
It was more about the knowledge of them being there and how that gets out to the public. And I
Yeah.
appreciated how it felt different in that regard than most alien invasion movies.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like this movie, I think, more than Amelia did. I think she liked it okay, but wasn't a huge fan, and
Caitlin
she
didn't
had
like it. Spoiler
oh,
alert.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, she had a similar kind of reaction to what you just said there, where she was like, "I kinda thought it was gonna be more like Alien Invasion, because most Alien Invasion movies," her phrase was, "The aliens are like, 'We're here for your monuments.'" And you get which I
Yeah.
thought was really funny.
That's
You
great.
you get montages of them, like, destroying, the White House or whatever it is,
Yeah,
things
like
like that.
Independence Day,
Exactly.
had those famous sequences.
But this is, not that really, right? It's about people versus people and really about, like, what kind of knowledge should be public and what should be private, which is kind of
Yeah,
an interesting angle to take on it, I think, for
and
sure.
fairly realistic for where I feel like we're at today,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
The movie does try and make some connections to, like, religion that to me didn't quite work very well, right? In terms of, like,
Yeah,
the knowledge of aliens, and would that shake the faith of the people of the world, and therefore we would all lose hope because how can there be God if they're aliens and those sorts of things. And I, I don't know. I didn't really. Maybe it's I just had a different religious upbringing, but those two
yeah,
things aren't necessarily equated in my head with like the one negates the other or anything like that. So, but
sure.
but maybe some people that is the case. I don't know.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't know that I have the complete opposite viewpoint, but I had more of an appreciation for that because I feel like I know people
Mm,
that and grew up around people and have people that I know that if aliens it really exist, it would shake them and it would
mm,
make them maybe not like question their faith, but like have some of those. And I appreciated how it wasn't so much a matter of questioning faith. It was just like, how do I reconcile this?
okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you're exploring how this knowledge that is disclosed um, can coexist with your faith, not so much like, well, if this is my faith and this is true, can I still have my faith? It was more
Mm,
of how can they coexist, not
yeah.
can they, right? I felt like that was the question. And I kind of appreciated that because I feel like at one point in my life, I might have been like that when I was younger.
Yeah.
And I know people that would be like that even today. And so I felt like that was kind of cool.
Well, there you go. So maybe I just wasn't the right audience for that segment of the
Sure.
story, but
Well, and
maybe
as
that.
we've talked, we both had completely different upbringings and
Yeah, yeah,
even in our adult life have had different experiences in those regards. So,
yeah, for sure.
but yeah, Caitlin. So the movie ends and the credits start rolling and she just looks at me. She goes, well, that was dumb, period. Like that was, so I was like, what are you talking about? She had some legit quibbles with the movie.
Sure. I think there are quibbles to be had with the movie, for to be clear.
The biggest thing for me is I don't overanalyze a movie on a first watch. I
Mm,
want to be engrossed in the story and I want to enjoy my experience. So the movie for me has to be like real bad for me to be like, this movie sucks.
hmm
One of her gripes that I can see where she's coming from is she didn't like some of the score moments. She said
mm,
it felt like big action movie score without action movie sequences.
okay,
And
that's
outside of a
interesting.
couple of sequences, there was a couple where it fit. But then she also had some gripes with the third act of the movie and kind of the very end of the movie that I don't want to spoil anything, but some of those things that you mentioned where characters kind of made a weird decision or change or like
hmm
something happens or it's like, well, you've spent the whole movie being this way. Why are you all of a sudden at the very end climax of the movie just like doing this? And it just
Yeah,
didn't quite make sense.
yeah, that was definitely one of the times I was thinking of when I had that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can relate to that. The score honestly did not stand out to me either way. Like it didn't
Yeah. I didn't
distract from the
notice.
movie or particularly add to the movie for me. So that's
Yeah.
something I might have to watch again. I can't really turn off that piece of my brain, right? And I don't mean turn off like you watch it like a dumb guy and I watch it like a smart guy. I just mean like
Hey, it is what it is, I guess.
I just mean like I mean my job is analysis, right? Book analysis, story analysis, movie
Sure.
analysis, in and teaching people how to kind of kids how to think that way. And so it I can't really separate them often. Um,
Yeah.
that's not totally true. I've got another movie I'm going to talk about today where it was very easy to separate, uh, but like it's hard not to kind of do some of that while I'm watching, and sometimes that's annoying because we'll finish a movie and Amelia will be like, "That was great," and I was like, "Was it though? Because here are all the problems I had in it." And she's like,
Yeah.
"Stop talking, just like let me enjoy it." I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah.
fair." So, but yeah, this
Yeah.
one I think there are definitely some quibbles to be had. I thought Emily Blunt though was really good. I really enjoyed her performance throughout
Yeah.
this. I
I thought the cast overall delivered great performances. I
Yeah,
feel like maybe the directing or the scripting was the moments where it didn't make sense. I don't know that it
yeah.
was on the actors' performance themselves.
Yeah, yeah. Colin Firth also very
Yeah, he was
entertaining.
great.
Uh, looks older now too.
He does. And I don't know if they made him look older or if he has aged that much lately because
Yeah,
I didn't recognize him at first. And I was like, wait a second. But
yeah. I like, when actors in Hollywood age naturally. That seems to be a more and more rare thing. So I don't
yeah,
mind that he looks
sure.
more mature
Absolutely.
and things like that. He's put on maybe a little bit of weight and things, at least around his face and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it took me a minute to be like, is that Colin Firth?
Is
I
that
guess that
really
is
him?
Colin Firth.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, yeah. It was fun though.
I
Go ahead,
also
sorry.
thought it was hilarious that, and I don't know the actor's name, but he played, was it John Walker, the new Captain America in
Yeah, yeah.
the TV show? What was the name of the show?
Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Yes, yeah. And he played like the same tool bag character in this movie. It's like
That's
I was like, is this the same person? Like like the same character, just without the Captain America uniform? No.
that's Wyatt Russell, son of Kurt Russell,
Ah,
and I think if you look at him, you can definitely see that in
yeah,
his face
sure,
and things like that. But I like him. I like that he is willing to take those roles where he's like,
sure. Somebody's got
yeah,
to do it.
he's got kind of a d-bag face, and so he'll take those roles. And enjoy them, you know.
Yeah, Caitlin just kept yelling at one point in the movie, "Just leave him, just go." So
Yeah, yeah. At the same time, I'm a little bit sympathetic. If my wife started doing some of the things that Emily Blunt was doing, I would be like, "No, we need to go to the doctor. Like, this is
sure,
not normal."
but I
I would
feel like
I would
there
be the
was
I would be the movie idiot husband though, so,
yeah, there's like a lack of loving concern for her and
That is true.
more of a like I'm saying this is right, I don't care what you say
Yeah,
mentality. So but that's a whole other tangent of a topic.
yeah, I get that for
No,
sure.
I overall I enjoyed the movie and I would happily watch it again. I think for me, going back to the analyzing thing, I like to watch it and then analyze it after. And that's what I
Yeah,
did with Obsession, right? Like there were things that you caught in Obsession that I didn't catch, and I spent the few days after we recorded watching YouTube videos and commentaries and interviews and like totally like altering some of my perspective
Mm.
and opinions about the movie on. And so like that's how I like to analyze is
Yeah, yeah.
after the movie. And so
Yeah, that's totally fair, and that's fun to do also, I feel like, is,
yeah.
my, initial takes are sometimes good, and they're sometimes not very good, and so
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
also enjoy kind of hearing what other people think who have maybe spent a little bit more time processing and thinking about it than my initial hot take, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
on the whole, I think if you were looking for a entertaining, fun movie, I think this was entertaining and fun. It is not, like you said, an action film in the traditional sense, right?
No.
Like it's a chase movie. They're on the run. Uh, are they going to get caught? That's the question. Not like how many things are going to explode.
Yeah. Although the one big action sequence, like traditional action sequence there was, I guess there were maybe two of them, were really good
Yeah,
and really enjoyable.
yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, it was a
So
good time. I was interested. I mean, I enjoyed the movie on the whole, I'd say. But yeah,
nice.
not like necessarily one that's like I got to add that to my collection, but it's a uh back in the days before everybody was just streaming everything, if you were flipping around on the channels and saw that, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I'll stop and watch this for a little
Yeah.
while." You know what I mean?
Well, and it's hard, you said good Spielberg, not great Spielberg. How how do you top some of his movies that he made in his prime at this
Yeah.
point, right? With the way cinema and filmmaking and creativity has grown over the years, like how does he now at this age in his career top that? I don't know that he can. I would love to see him do it. So it's like a good Spielberg movie is still great in the gambit overall, but like, um, I mean, he's not going to top ET or Jurassic Park or uh, Indiana Jones, right? Like, it's just probably not going to happen at this point in time. So
Yeah,
it still
agreed.
was a really good movie and very enjoyable and worth seeing.
Yeah, and in some ways, I feel like, better than like Indiana Jones or E.T., like the one to draw the connection to here is Close Encounters, right? Which is
Okay,
also not a huge like action movie. It's about like what's something's going on here and we're trying to figure out exactly what it is, and then it's aliens, right? Like
sure,
early on, and even from the trailers, we know that it's aliens here, but it's still that sort of like not the like gung ho, let's fight, War of the World style or anything like that. It's
right,
like what does this mean for us as a people, right? As a planet, if this is true. And I think, that's interesting territory, even if it's not, uh Jaws. Indiana Jones also, I mean, he did do aliens ultimately in Indiana Jones, and that was terrible. So like, you know,
hey, they can't all be winners,
they
right?
can't all be winners, but this is pretty good. I thought it was fun.
Yeah,
I have no idea if it's getting a good reception or not, critically and commercially. I know my
yeah,
my buddy Dylan, who I talked to, he said, well, I didn't talk to him. We were just chatting on Discord, but he also enjoyed it. So, that's basically my circle of knowledge right there is
yeah,
you, me, and Amelia, Dylan, and Caitlin. So
yeah. And 1 out of 5 dislikes. So
that's right.
that's a pretty good. I mean, that's a pretty good score right there if you're playing the percentages. So yeah, I haven't heard anything bad about it really. I feel like the only detriment is the movies that are releasing around it
Yeah.
might be taking some of the limelight away from it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you still have Obsession that has continued to grow and make a ton of money in the box office.
Yeah.
And the back room's still there, and then you had Masters of the Universe coming out. Now you've got Toy Story 5 and Supergirl. I mean, I feel like there's been a lot of really good movies releasing lately, and honestly, like if we didn't have the AMC one movie a week membership, we probably wouldn't have gone to see this one in theaters. I would have waited and watched it digitally streaming, so
Yeah. We also have a membership for the Alamo Draft House here, and
oh
that
nice.
is what allows us in the summer to go see a lot of movies. So
That's cool.
yeah, good stuff.
Well, what else have you been watching?
All right, so yesterday we did go see the movie in the evening. Amelia had a kind of minor medical procedure in the day. Everything's all good, no worries there. But she was like resting in the
Okay.
afternoon and stuff. So I was like, I'm gonna I'm gonna find something to watch. She and I have a lot of the same tastes, so sometimes it's hard to find things to watch because I'll start something and she'll be like, "Oh, I wanted to watch that," and I'll be like, "Oh, well, okay, I guess I'll restart it or
Yep.
whatever."
I get that.
So I was just like looking around and I found one of the dumbest movies
Oh no.
I have seen recently, and that is a movie on Netflix called Thrash. Have you heard of Thrash at all?
Maybe
I should
what's the
I should at this point double check to make sure I have the title right because I'm pretty sure. Yeah, okay, this is yeah. All right, so this is a movie in which the only person you'll recognize, I think, is Jaimin Hansu, who plays
yeah.
a like a I'm not even sure what he does. He's a meteorologist or something like that. He's out on a boat. A Category 5 hurricane is coming
Oh, is this
through.
the shark movie?
Yes,
Yes.
this
Okay, I've
town
seen the trailer and holy cow, it looks terrible.
floods all of the streets like a permanent flood. And as this is happening, this is a little coastal town, right? As this is happening, a giant meat truck, which apparently is filled with like meat juice, and that's it. I don't know what's being. I was not totally paying attention, but at one point, early in the film, the truck gets like thrown aside by the waves that are coming into the town, filling all the streets, splits in half, and this like flood of bloody water like goes out into the ocean. And so of course all of the sharks in the world apparently decide to come into this town. They're all man-eaters, they're all starving, and you better look out because the sharks are coming for you. And if there's what if something crazy happens like this, like it's in this movie. What
They
if
just did
what if
all the things.
all the things. What if a pregnant woman is trying to give birth while these sharks are here and it's in the water? Like, what if Jaimin Hansu's got to figure out because his daughter's there and he's got to figure out how to get his boat into this town to save her? What if they're foster kids that need to get away from their like bully
Oh,
foster
gosh.
father, and sharks might be the perfect way to do it, right? It's like it is absolutely ridiculous, and I laughed the entire time I was watching it. So like take
So
it for what it's worth,
it's a
you know.
comedy.
I mean, yes, it is a comedy, and I think they know they're a comedy. Also, like some of the
Okay.
the lines that the delivery and things, especially like Jaimin Hansu, he knows exactly what kind of movie he's in. So it was a hilarious way to spend an hour and a half while Amelia was sleeping, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. It
So
was
is it
bad. It's bad.
would you recommend watching it?
If you're like, I need to watch a dumb movie right now, sometimes you're in that vibe, right? Where you want to
Sure.
just watch something like ridiculous. This is ridiculous. This is like, it's maybe not Sharknado levels of ridiculous, but it's like only a step or two down from that. So,
Is it so it's you wouldn't even call it a B movie.
oh, no, no,
Is it
no.
like a C, a D? Like where do we
Yeah,
go from there?
we'll call it a C minus movie, right? Like like it's passing, but barely.
Well, there you go. Joel's rave review of Thrash streaming now on Netflix.
How about you? What else are you being entertained by right now?
Yeah, so I'll call back to I believe it was episode 5 when we had our buddy Matt on. I talked about Cruel Summer season 2 and how I mistakenly watched season 2 first, but it was okay because it's an anthology show. Both seasons are completely different stories, different casts, but they follow a similar style. And both of them are a story that is presented that takes place over 3 different time periods.
Mm,
And in season 2, it was like summer, Christmas time, next summer, right? And it was in the late 90s, right around Y2K. Season 1 took place in 93, 94, and 95. And it started in the summer and it kind of went into the fall of those years. And it did a similar thing that they did in season 2, where each time period has a different kind of color temperature style to the editing.
yeah, yeah.
um I think it was the 95, the third year, it was much darker and very shadowed and more depressing feeling, which fit the story, whereas the first year is like bright, well lit, happy, not sad. And but season 1, I think I think I had mentioned that I read some reviews that people said season 1 was better.
Yeah.
I think I would probably agree with that. Now,
But you liked season 2, I
I
remember.
did really enjoy season 2. My biggest gripe with season 2 is some of the dialogue and acting was a little cheesy at times, and it felt very teen soapy at
Yeah.
moments. Now, the story was still intriguing to me, and I wanted to finish it and see what happened because it was kind of a murder mystery type thing. So, season 1 is, I feel like, better written, better acted overall. I mean, there's still some not great moments. It's a freeform show, so I mean, it's not like a major
Right.
production from, Amazon or HBO or Netflix. The story, though, in season 1 was very much more adult in its theme.
Okay.
So you you don't know how it happens, but based on the first episode that one of the main characters had been the victim of a kidnap and kind of trapped in a basement by a teacher story. And there's nothing like graphic or sexual, in its content or what you see. So it's not, adult as far as what you see, but just the
Right.
idea and the premise is much darker. Most of the episodes had a like, if you or someone is struggling with suicidal depressive thoughts or has been through some sort of a like hotline,
Yeah.
warning because of the content. So I think that was more interesting and it felt very different. The way they pace the story, and like even from the very beginning, basically the end of the first episode, that the girl that was kidnapped got rescued, and she calls out the other main character for having seen her and not reported.
Mm.
And so the whole season, all 10 episodes, you're presented with this idea and you never know what happens until like the second half of the final episode. And
Yeah.
so it's kind of one of those like you build up to finding out that answer of what actually happened all the way to the final episode. And it was funny because Caitlin didn't watch it with me, but I would watch it when we were laying in bed and she didn't feel like watching anything. And every episode, it would bring that up and she'd like, well, did she see her? I was like, we still don't know, man. We haven't gotten there. So, um, there was a lot more in season 1 that was like it felt more like a real life story than
Mm.
season 2. Season 2 had moments where it's like, okay, I could see this happening, but it was also a little more like movified, right? Like
Yeah.
these aren't real life teenagers, these are teenagers in a teen soap story,
Yeah.
right? They're a little more dramatic and just the setting and the whole thing was a little not as realistic. And I felt like the first season was more reality based,
Okay.
and it's set in Texas. And one of the main characters, the one that gets kidnapped, is from a very rich, well-to-do family. And like seeing the interactions of how that family, all they cared about was their public perception. And then behind closed doors, like you see that nothing's perfect. And, she and her mom get in a fight because she's like, do you even really love me? And her mom's like, of course I do. She's like, do you love me or do you love the way we present ourselves? And, so it's kind of very like, I don't know, it just felt more real and it felt more serious than season 2. And so I
Yeah.
think I would agree with those reviews that I read. And overall, I enjoyed both seasons. I do think I like season 1 better. I would love to see another season. I don't know if
Yeah.
they're going to do one or not. It's been said that they're going to, but that's been a year or two ago and nothing really has happened. So who knows what's going to happen at this point. But I tend to really enjoy anthology things like that,
Hmm.
where it follows a similar format, maybe even like American Horror Story, where it uses some of the same actors in different roles. I
Right.
think stuff like that's really cool in the way they present it. So I would love to see them do more, especially if it felt a little more realistic and serious like season 1. So
Yeah. Well, it sounds like overall you that they pulled it off pretty well, right?
yeah, and I don't want to give anything away in case people haven't seen it or they want to, but the end of the season, I was like, just the way it ended, I was like, like freaking out, like, oh my gosh, that's what really happened. It's so, um, and obviously Caitlin's not going to watch it, but, and she had fallen asleep by the time I finished it, but I couldn't wait to talk to her about it the next day and be like, holy cow, so this is what happened. And she was like, are you serious? And so, it was just kind of funny to talk about. And so,
That's
yeah,
awesome. Well, that's good. That
yeah.
sounds good. I watched another one that I had No, I'd seen when it came out in theaters. Well, I didn't see the movie. I'd seen the trailers for it when it came out in theaters, and I it looked okay, but it wasn't anything that I was like, oh, I gotta see that right away. But I ended up enjoying it way more than I expected to, and that is Roof Man. Do you know what Roof Man is?
I don't. That doesn't ring a bell. I don't think I've heard of it. So
Okay, so it's based on a true story about this guy who's an army vet and set in like the late 90s at some point. And he is down on his luck and robs a bunch of McDonald's and other fast food
okay,
places. And he's known as
random.
the roof man because he goes in through the roof to avoid like setting off alarms and things. He'll break in through the roof
Hmm.
and then rob the place. And also, and this all this part is true because they show some of the archival news footage and things at the end. Apparently very polite when he's robbing people, like apologizing to them. He would make the any staff that was there, he would make get in the freezer or whatever, and he would make sure they like have their coats and things before he put them in the freezer and stuff like that, you
Gotta
know.
love a respectful thief.
That's right. Anyway, so in this movie, he and this is a lot of this again is true. He gets caught for these robberies, gets sent to prison, and breaks out of prison, and cannot figure out exactly how to get out of town. Clearly, it's set in Charlotte, in
Okay,
North Carolina. Not because he's dumb, just because like the cops are like looking for him everywhere, right? And so
sure.
he's a prison escapee. They're obviously going to keep a high uh, radar out for this guy. And so he ends up hiding out in a Toys R Us. There is a
Okay,
there's a display area that it goes up like 10 feet and then it's open at the top and he realizes he can get back there, right? And so he spends the next several months hiding in this Toys R Us.
wow.
Uh, Eventually, as he's trying to figure out ways to like get out of not just the town, but get out of the state and things like that, and out of the country because he's a wanted, prison escapee.
Yeah.
He is there for long enough that he can basically start to like interact with people again, and starts in the movie. I'm not sure if this is real life or not, but he does start dating a woman. And in the movie, she's one of the employees at Toys R Us, and he's like he'll like go in because he figures out that he can access all the security cameras, and he puts these like baby monitors around so he can see when people are in the store and out of the
Okay.
store. He'll go into the office and he'll like change her schedule and things so that she doesn't have to work when she doesn't want to work and stuff. And then meets her in real life. She's played by Kristen Dunst, and she's fantastic as
Okay.
usual. I really like Kristen Dunst. Oh, the main character is played by Channing Tatum, and
Okay.
there's a bunch of other people in it too, like Lakeith Stanfield's in it, and Juno Temple, and what's the actor's name? Tyrion Lannister. Uh, Peter Dinklage
Oh,
is
okay.
like the manager of the Toys R Us and things like that. And eventually it's about like he's torn between this like desire to like get out, right, and to get to safety where he's not wanted, and also his like increasing care for and relationship with this woman and stuff like that. And I expected it to kind of be like a dumb comedy, but it's really like a thoughtful, sweet movie. I mean, it is funny, but it's also very, I don't know, just engaging. He is a really likable character, and Channing Tatum's pretty good in the role. I think the Kristen Dunst has. I think I said Kristen earlier. Kirsten. Kirsten Dunst has like a couple of kids from previous marriage, and he's like getting to know them and trying to like connect with them and things like that. I don't know. I really enjoyed it way more than I was expecting it to. I was putting it on as like I'm going to do a background show because I'm bored right now and I want to get on Reddit or whatever and read, but I want some noise in the background. But I ended up just like watching. I was very taken with it the entire time.
Hmm.
And I realized afterwards, part of the reason was like the director I think is a really good director, and in lesser hands it might have been not as entertaining or not as like good, I guess, for lack of a better word. But the director is Derek Cianfrance, and the only movie I've seen from him is The Place Beyond the Pines, which
Okay.
was like a really serious, right?
Yeah.
Drama. So very, very different, but he kind of brought some like weight to the emotional connections in the movie that I was really taken with. He also directed Blue Valentine, which I haven't seen, but it's another very
Yeah.
heavy movie and things like that. So like it manages to be like sweet and funny, but also really does like have some depth to the characters and things that I appreciated. So it was good. I
Yeah, it
recommend
sounds
it.
interesting.
Yeah. More than I expected to. I really ended up enjoying it, I think.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. Anything else from you? That's probably it from me, but
Yeah, I'll just mention two other things real quick.
yeah.
First off, the Roald Dahl podcast, or
Yeah.
Ruled. How did his first wife? I don't know. That was funny. If you like his books, or even if you don't, but you know who he is, or if you just like interesting stories, go listen to this podcast.
It's
Holy cow, it was
crazy.
a trip. What a life.
Yeah.
I mean, just insane. And being one of the most famous, or the most successful children's author of all time, was not even the main focus of the podcast. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just the life this man lived. Go listen to the podcast. It's really good.
I told you when he's
Yeah.
like every episode and he's like, and it's just gonna get crazier from
Yep.
here. You're like, no, it's not. And you're like, it is.
Wait a second. Problematic nature and everything.
Sure, yeah.
Super worth a listen. On a trip that we'll talk about in a little bit, we pretty much in two settings finished the whole thing.
Yeah.
While
Awesome.
we were driving. It was great. We were hooked. So definitely go listen to that podcast. If Joel's recommendation didn't do it for you, take my word for it. Or maybe the two of us together will mean something to someone.
I imagine there's a large contingent who are like, well, if Joel said it, I don't really care. But now that Chris has said it, I'm in. So yes, those people.
And then there's
They're
probably
correct.
a third contingent that's like, well, if both of them agree, then maybe I'll give it a shot. Or who knows? Maybe nobody cares and we're talking to the void. And then I'll also add, we're trying to have some fun with our two older kids while the youngest is at grandma's for a couple of weeks. And one of the things we've done is we watched the original and the sequel, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh.
And if you know much about me, I know we've talked about it in earlier episodes. I'm a huge classic slasher fan, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of, I think, the best of the classic era of slashers. And man, that movie is creepy and horrifying and still has some of the most beautiful shots, I think, in cinematic history. Come at me if you want to in the comments, but the ending of the first one, golden hour, the sun setting, and Leatherface is just angrily waving the chainsaw around him, like that. Just, I don't know, there's something about that shot and the framing and the setting of it that is just chef's kiss in my opinion. And then you have the second one, which I saw in a screening in college for one of my film classes, and I remembered really liking. And this was kind of as I was getting into my obsession with that era of slasher movies. And then going back and watching it again, I'm like, I don't know if I was right. Now, caveat that I think it's still a pretty good sequel. There's a story there. Some of the characters are good. But Caitlin even said in the middle of the movie, she's like, I don't know how much of this movie was scripted versus how much of it was go act like a crazy person and we're just going to record you.
Yeah.
Or for the female lead, you know, the final girl, go scream in terror for an hour and we're just going to record footage and get what we get. Cause that's like half of the movie, you know, and you had some ridiculousness in the first one. I mean, that era of cinema, especially this level of movies, cheaper made budgets and horror slashers, especially, like there were some moments where some of the characters were just like bad. Right. And, you know, they didn't always use the greatest actors and some of the audio quality wasn't great. And there was some of it in the first one where it was like, this character's just annoying. Why are you even here? We could do without you. Oh, you're chainsaw fodder. I got it, you know. but the second one is not like that. The second one is just like, you know, the dad and Leatherface and his brother, most of the movie is just like, go be crazy people and we're going to record it and we'll cut it together later. And it's just like, I feel like that movie could have been half the length and still had the story, and you still would have gotten the point that she was scared and they were crazy. So I don't know if surely you've seen the first one.
Well, confession time, Chris.
No, Joel.
I have never seen a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie from any era.
Okay, well, you need to see the original because I mean, I know you have an appreciation for horror. The first one is great.
Okay.
And has some really great moments, and the second one had great moments too, but just wasn't as good as I remembered it being, and I was ready for it to be over. And it's sad because the ending was actually really good, but it just took so long to get there, and there was so much wasted time, I feel like. And then you had Dennis Hopper being a weird character that was around. So being Dennis Hopper. Being Dennis Hopper, basically. And the whole time I just wanted him to hear him yell Pabst Blue Ribbon, if you get that reference.
Yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, just a gap for me that I have never filled. I don't know. Something about it, the like griminess of
grotesqueness.
It's always been like, do I want to see that? But it's on every like great horror movie list that there is, right? So I do need to see it. But
now I have never seen any of the others.
Okay.
Caitlin, I think her dad took her to see the remake with Jessica Biel in the mid 2000s when it came out. Yeah, I've never watched that. And then there's been like 3 or 4 movies since then that have come out.
I was going to say they've rebooted this like multiple times, haven't they?
Yeah. And I think some of them are either like different takes or different like timelines. I don't think they're all necessarily supposed to be a remake, reboot. There's one that's supposed to be a prequel. And so, I want to watch the rest of them. There's one with Matthew McConaughey in it. You gotta watch that one, right?
Yeah.
Like, see what,
All right.
Like, what is he doing in this universe? I don't know. But the first one's great, and it's a classic for a reason. And I think, I don't think Leatherface gets talked about enough in the classic slasher icon, Hall of Fame, whatever you want to call it, zeitgeist. It's always Michael Myers or Jason or Freddy. And I think he deserves a spot in there just as much as they do and needs to be talked about more, because especially the way Gunnar Hansen played him in the first 2 is just like super creepy and unsettling. And, for a character that doesn't even talk, has some terrifying moments. And so I don't know. You definitely need to watch the original at some point.
This summer, I'll make it a goal to watch at least the original.
Okay, so you're going to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I've got to watch Lord of the Rings. Got it. There's our homework.
There we go. I was talking to somebody about the podcast, I think at Origins, and they were like, "Oh yeah, because you're your co-host, right? He like hasn't seen Lord of the Rings." I was like, that was his one piece of knowledge about you. I was like, I think he saw it, or at least the first one, but he didn't really like it very much.
Yeah, so. If that's what puts us on the map, then I'm okay to wear that mantle proudly.
There we go.
The first Star Wars I saw was Episode 1, and I didn't get Lord of the Rings. So
well, that's all right, Chris, as they say. And I'm the bald co-host. So
hey, you said it this time, not me.
That's right. Oh, good stuff.
Oh man. Well, you want to jump into the main focus of the episode today, buddy?
Let's do it.
All right, so Joel got to spend some of last weekend at Origins, as you'll find out. And my family, the weekend before, took a little trip and spent a couple of days hanging out at a board game cafe. And so we're just going to talk about some of the games we played, what we saw, who we met, what we're excited about playing next, that kind of thing. And we're going to kind of do like an interview each other style of things, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see if it works or not. But so we're going to get started and dive into that. So Joel, I'll start off and ask you the first question. I would love to hear, I went to Origins for the first time last year, and I was supposed to go this year, and we were going to take our 12-year-old, but budget, money, gas being so expensive, did not want to drive that far. So we ended up taking a smaller trip instead that we'll get to in a minute. But I would love to hear your overall impressions from your first Origin, and how does it stack up or compare to other conventions?
Yeah, overall, I think it was a lot of fun. I feel like I've always heard people say it's got kind of a different vibe than other conventions, and I
Absolutely.
wasn't sure, like, what does that mean exactly? But, like, it really does have a different vibe than other conventions. Mostly, I think in, like, positive ways that it's doing its own thing, sometimes in ways that I was like, "This is a little different." It's not s I mean, it's a little bit smaller than, like, PAX. It's a lot smaller than, Gen Con and things like
Hmm.
that. But I think the biggest thing is that there's a lot more of a focus on, like, gameplay rather than game sales. And to the point that even though there's still a really large vendor hall, I know there's a lot of publishers who do not go to Origins. There's a lot of publishers who are, even that I talked to this time that are like, yeah, we're not positive we'll come back next year, but
Hmm.
it's a nice vibe still and things like that. And a lot more of it is just focused on people playing. And as a result, like the great part about it is it feels way less crowded than the other
Yeah.
conventions. We were even walking around the vendor hall on like Saturday. It didn't feel like we were, in a press of people. There was plenty of
Yeah.
space, plenty of room, and yet, people were still buying stuff. People were still there to kind of see what was there. So I think that the other conventions I've been to, PAX and Gen Con, the big conventions, right? Like there really is this push to like sell product.
Yeah.
And obviously, like these are game companies, they're trying to sell product, they're trying to make money, right? With this one, just because of the timing, just a couple months before Gen Con, which is so huge, and so most companies are saving their releases for Gen Con, which means what they're selling is stuff that has been out and around for a little while already, and so it just becomes less of a like, oh, I got to get to this booth to buy X or Y or Z, and more of like, oh, I kind of want to go demo this thing that I've heard good things about because it's
Yeah.
been out for 6 months already, and then maybe I'll go to the game library and see if I can actually play a full version or whatever the case is, right? So that was the main like difference to me. It was a good time. If we go again, which is questionable on two fronts. One, as you know, we had a heck of a time getting there, uh, and two, we knew we weren't going to be there for super long. Amelia had a training course that she was in all week until the course ended on the 18th because of the Juneteenth holiday. And so we knew we couldn't leave until Thursday after work. So we didn't get there until, mid to late afternoon on Friday. So we were really only there for, 48 hours or so.
Yeah.
And so that limited a lot of what we could really see and do. And I definitely think if we were going to do it again, we would want to try and be there the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Um, so that we could kind of enjoy everything just a little bit more because it did feel rushed for us a little bit. Um, but would we go again? Yeah, I think we would. It was a lot of fun. I think it was a really good experience. So yeah, those are my initial kind of impressions, I guess.
Yeah. I'll just, having gone once, I agree with a lot of that. I think it feels a lot more like community driven,
Definitely.
right? It's easier to see and find people, and a ton of the people that I know in the industry and community, content creator wise, are there, and it's easy to find them and hang out with them.
Yeah.
Gen Con, you're lucky to run into people. You kind of have to plan it, and you have to set aside time.
Yeah.
And like you said, Saturday, busiest moment of the weekend, you can still walk through the aisles freely.
Yep.
Whereas at Gen Con, you're doing the shoulder to shoulder
Oh
shuffle
yeah.
sneak through, and it's a pain. And so, there are some great things Gen Con does as well that make it unique and special, but I think
For sure.
Origins is also special in its own way. I like how you said that.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you mentioned, about some publishers not there or maybe not coming back. I know I talked to somebody last year in the industry, and they're like, the tough thing is, and why some of the publishers aren't there anymore that used to be, is it is so close to Gen Con.
Mhm.
And then PAX Unplugged has become so big and so much of a focus. A lot of them have shifted away from Origins to focus on PAX Unplugged.
Mhm.
And then some of them do all three. And I think, you can if you can make enough money. But I think the ones that we've seen pull away from Origins focus on Gen Con being really big and powerful. And then they're at PAX Unplugged as well. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's kind of unfortunate the timing of the way that's worked out. But I think it's just the nature of the beast and convention circuit. You can't do them all.
Yeah.
And you either focus on the ones that make you the most money, or you spread yourself too thin, run
Yeah.
the risk of, at least. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think when for me personally, PAX Unplugged is still currently my favorite convention. I've enjoyed that like a ton every time I've been. And then the other three conventions I've really spent a lot of time at from there are like all kind of on an equal playing field just for very different reasons, right?
yeah,
So like Gen Con is that like huge unique experience. I want to see what the new things are going to be. I want to see what everybody is like super excited about, right? And just that like massive congregation of
hmm,
gamers is a really
it's
cool experience.
invigorating, right?
Yeah, 100%. Origins, as we said, right? Like it's this great gameplay experience. As you said, I think that's a great point, Chris. Easy to connect with people and to like find time to actually play games together. And then, Tantrum Con, which is a local smaller convention here in North Carolina, is a lot more like almost
Sit
like
and play.
family, right? Sit and
Yeah,
play. You're gonna find your friends, and you're gonna spend the next couple of days with them, right? There's not, if you want to go to the quote unquote vendor hall, you can. It'll take you about 10 minutes, then you'll come back
yeah,
down and play some more, right?
yep,
So all three of those I like for very different reasons. For me, PAX Unplugged I think is the best amalgamation of all of them, but
yeah,
but I could totally understand why anybody would rank those differently.
yeah. That's fair. Was there a booth that stood out that you felt was really cool presentation wise?
Not particularly for me. What did stand out instead was going back to what you mentioned earlier about the community piece.
Okay.
Origins has in the center of the gaming hall, like all these places where people who play like miniatures games will set up like in giant cities and
Hmm.
and things and play something. We walked up to this group at one point. We were like, "What are you playing?" Because we saw this, in their city. They had a mock up of like the Ghostbusters firehouse and things. We are like, "Is this
Oh,
like
that's cool.
a Ghostbusters game?" And they were like, "Oh, it's this game that this person designed who's there teaching them the game. It's like all horror things exist in this universe." And so I'm, Mike and 11, and over there's the Scooby Doo gang, and like, right, we're fighting Jason, and all these sorts of things. And or there's one giant like 3 level, 8 foot long ship, right? And they're playing this miniatures game on there's various deck levels of the ship. That I thought was super awesome to see more than particularly anything at the booths. And I may be jaded enough just because at a certain point, like I love these publishers. The All Play booth looks like the All Play booth every time, right?
Yeah,
Like they've got their
absolutely.
shelves, they've got their gameplay area. Bitewing looks like Bitewing. I think Arcane Wonders had like a big model biplane there, but I didn't really spend
Oh,
a lot
cool.
of time there, so I didn't. And when I say big, I don't mean I think like one person size, not
Sure.
not like life size or anything like that. Um, but to me, it was the community stuff that had been built and brought in that was really exciting to see, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of like the local Ohio game groups, maybe from further afield too, set up, and there's like a whole area for like train gamers. It's like these
Yeah.
tables are the train gamers.
They've got like a whole library of
Yes,
train games that you've never seen or heard of before. It's
exactly,
wild.
right? And like those miniatures games, those sorts of things. I That was the fun part to just like for me, that was more interesting to just kind of walk around and be like, wow. Because I have not played any miniatures games like that, but like the level of creativity to build some of that stuff and
Yeah,
come up with these like unique game systems that aren't ever going to see publication, right? Like that horror game, there's no way they can actually get the rights to all of those people to throw them into
sure.
one game, right? But like they bring it together and just have a great time with it. And that
Yeah,
I
that's
think
neat.
is really cool to see.
Yeah. And all of those things are in the same hall,
Yeah,
right? And I think that's something you miss at Gen Con is you have the exhibition hall, and then you kind of have an adjacent hall with some more opportunity to register for gameplay. But if you want to get together in game, you've got to go to an adjacent hotel. Or if you want to utilize the library, you have to pay extra money for specific time periods and go to Lucas Oil across the street.
right,
Now, most of those things are connected through tunnels or sky bridges, which is nice, but it's not convenient.
right.
Origins, you literally walk through like a collapsible wall doorway into the open gaming space, which last year had a few more publisher booths in it, but there you've got the scheduled events, you've got your minis games, your train game, and in the back
Yeah.
you've got a ton of open play space and the library. So you don't have to even leave the hall
Yeah.
to experience those things. And it's just it's easier, right? Again, I've loved my two experiences at Gen Con, but it's a lot and it's exhausting, and Origins is so much easier to take in and experience all those things.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Definitely. Well, let me not just hog all the discussion here. Let me ask you a couple
okay,
questions about your
all
trip.
right.
Tell me about the trip. What sent you on this trip, and why this particular game cafe that you wanted to hit up, and things like that.
Yeah. So I mentioned we were planning on taking our 12-year-old to Origins this year. They really wanted to go to our local con in Oklahoma City, but grandma was coming up to keep them. And we're like, we really just want to go the two of us and be selfish and have a weekend away. But also, you should stay and hang out with grandma. And so, kind of our deal was we'll take you to Origins this summer. Well, then gas skyrocketed
Right.
and money is what it is and does what it does. And I just got real nervous about spending that much money, and we didn't get our dates lined up for our youngest to go to grandma's and be able to plan and solidify our trip to Ohio for Origins really in enough time to do it.
Yeah.
And so, because I was still probably going to try to get on with a publisher to help offset some travel costs, and by the time we had everything worked out date wise, it's like I just don't think we can plan it. So instead, we compromised and we're like, okay, what if instead we go back to Branson and we spend a couple days at the game cafe there that I've talked about on a previous episode. It's called Dice and Dine,
Yep.
formerly the Branson Board Game Cafe. And we'll spend a couple days there. We can go to Silver Dollar City. We can, go try some new restaurant or two. And there's a water park there that Silver Dollar City owns that's never open when we go, because we usually go in the spring or the fall. And it's like, well, if they're open, we can go check out the water park one day. So, Jamie was like, well, I really want to go Origins, but that sounds good too. So like, we'll try again next year. Okay. It's not that we don't want to take you. It's just that, we've got to plan better and we need to save a little bit more money first. So, and we need gas to not be $4 a gallon.
Yeah.
So that was why. And I've mentioned the Branson Board Game Cafe before. It's a really cool place, and they have over 1,500 games in their library, which is quite a lot even for a game cafe to have. And
Yeah. Yeah.
we knew we could spend a couple of days playing games there and have a blast. So that's why the trip and why we went where we went.
Nice. That sounds like a good time. Tell me, what are like the vibes like in this board game cafe? Like, you said there's the big library and things like
Yeah.
that, but like, what is it about this one? There's at least one board game cafe here in Raleigh that is not my favorite. There's one in one kind of small town over in Cary that I quite like. And then I just learned about another one that's about to open, but like they all feel kind of different. Like, what does this one feel like for you?
Comfortable.
Mm.
Honestly, like my main gripe, if I could say it, is there were times that the music was just a little too loud, but they're trying to like drown out some of the noise and have a vibe, and it was a super random, eclectic, weird playlist. I mean, we went from like David Bowie to Queen to the Beatles to Moana to Frozen to Wicked. I mean, it was just all over the place. And so it was weird, but it's not a huge store, and you walk in the door and the entryway is a little bit cramped, but they've got the small retail section and the counter right there to check in and order food, drinks, and pay to play, right? And then you walk around the corner and it's more spacious. They've got, several shelves of games separated. Kind of their main shelving is all, I don't know how they categorize it necessarily and why they organize it a certain way, but it has an organization system as far as like numbers and letters and stuff, so you can find things, but it's not really alphabetized, and some things are grouped together in a certain way. I can't make sense of it. But then they have a small game shelf, they have a 2-player game shelf, and then they have like your party games and mass market games, so they have things organized mostly, but like the main strategy hobby game shelf, I can't figure out how they have it organized. So, it is what it is. But they also have a book that you can look through that has some, it's organized in different ways, and it's got stats as far as like how complex, how long, how many players, mechanics, and then it'll tell you where it is on the shelf.
Oh,
So
that's nice.
but they're all easy to find, right? Like it's not hard to find things. So but yeah, I mean, and then they have, behind the shelf, they've got just some regular like restaurant top flat tables. And then the main area where we play, they've got some smaller square tables, and they have like custom play mats on them. The table we usually like to sit at has like a game top tabletop over it, that's like wooden, and it's got a playmat in it, and then they've got the 3D printed cup holders and stuff. So it's a really nice presentation, and it's comfortable, and it's cozy, and it's easy to sit and spend all day hanging out and playing. So
Nice.
all right, well, let's talk about some games.
Yeah.
All right, so what I know there's plenty of games to demo in the hall. Was there one or two that stood out to you?
There were a couple of that stood out to me, quite a bit actually. Two, maybe three that I'll talk about like right off here. The first one is the one that sticks in my mind as the most unique gaming experience I had
Okay.
at Origins, and it is a new game from DVC called Playthings. Have you heard anything about Playthings, Chris?
Just saw some pictures and saw it listed on the show notes here. That's about it.
Nice. What a bizarre game. They explained this game to us, and Amelia, as they were explaining it, paused them and was like, "Oh, so y'all are a bunch of weirdos." And they started laughing. They were like, "Yes." So in this game, everybody is going to be a bunch of kids who are having a sleepover, and you take turns being the night terror. And the night terror is trying to hide your toys from you. So
Okay.
the game board is like a little like a blueprint of a house, basically a black and white blueprint of a house, different rooms and things like that in this space. And everybody's going to close their eyes, and the night terror is going to say there are these little chests, and they're going to say what's in the chest. They read it along the bottom, like fire truck, and put it down in a room, and top, put it down in a room, dolls, put it down in a room, and you're trying to figure out which room has your toy, right?
Okay.
And so that sounds like, well, are you just guessing? Yes, you are. But as kids, we've got kind of a Home Alone element here, because we are going to set traps to try and figure out where the night gaunt is. So, for example, there's a bunch of bells in it, and you can put the bells however you want them. You could put them all in like two rooms, so whenever he goes into those rooms, you'll know, oh, the bells went off, it must be this, or it must be one of these two rooms. You can spread them out and try and make every room have to hit a bell if you can, but there's not quite enough bells to do that. There is a leash that the night gaunt has to wear around his wrist, and someone can hold the other end of the leash, and they'll know that way, oh, is there tension here? This must be further towards this side of the board versus there's no tension. There's different types of things. One of the ones we were using was you get to put a finger in a room, and hopefully that will kind of block the night gaunt or the night terror from putting a room in there. And there's no like clear rule, so you can do that however you want to. You can put one finger in the room and then try and spread all your fingers as much as you can to try and make it as hard as possible. They're all sort of things you can do to try and uh, hopefully make it harder for the night terror to put things down, but you don't know for sure. And then you can also peek. But then if the night terror, he's at the end, when the night terror goes around, he's going to guess who peaked. And if you're right, then you're going to lose points and he's going to gain points.
Oh
You have to
no.
tell the truth at that point, right? And things like that. It is hilarious and bizarre. And this is not something I would play with like everyone. But in the way of a lot of DVC games, I have never played anything quite like it.
Yeah.
And it immediately was one that I was like, I'm buying that. I don't know who I'm going to play this with yet, but this is so goofy and weird that I definitely have to buy it. So
And
that
not a big box, so easy
no,
to put on
yeah,
the shelf.
easy to put on the shelf. And DVC, by the way, they have done something with they've changed their play mats a little bit.
Okay.
Their mats are always have like wrinkles in them.
Mhm.
They've changed the material to like almost like a suede type material, so they are a lot less likely to get wrinkled. So
Nice. Yeah, I've heard that that's been something some publishers have been trying to solve
Yeah.
is cloth mats that don't have creases.
Yeah. So I think they've made some good progress there. That
Nice.
was the one I most walked away with, like, as I said, I've never seen anything quite like this that's really unique.
Yeah.
Another one that I got really excited about was Hell of a Deal from Smirk and Dagger Games,
Okay.
which I know they had on Kickstarter, but I hadn't really looked into it too closely when it was on Kickstarter, and so I'm really intrigued by it now. It's like a poker game. I played cooperatively against the devil, and the devil cheats, and so you have to cheat as well. And so there are
Oh.
ways that you can figure out like how to cheat, but if the devil kind of like the devil is not a player, it's like an automated systems in the game.
Okay.
But like it'll make, you know, if you get caught cheating or you get stuck, or if the devil beats you anyway, there's like worse penalties depending on how you've cheated.
Sure.
It's more complex than I can explain clearly on the podcast just from going through the one playthrough, but I got very interested in it. Not that I'm a big poker guy, but you know, poker can be interesting, and this like
Sure.
more cooperative version, uh, the gang doesn't quite hit for me because I don't really feel like it's that much of a poker game. It's more like a like group guessing game. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
That's fair.
And this felt like, oh no, you are really trying to like wager and figure things out. It's just you're wagering together to try and beat the devil. So I think it looks really fun, and I'm definitely gonna to check that one out more. I think in the future. And then the third kind of demo that I just wanted to mention was actually not in the hall at all. It was I just was sitting around after the vendor hall closed and got to talking to some people. And the designer um, was like, "Oh, I've got this game." Actually, his friend that he was with, Waleed, was like, "Oh, hey, he's got this game. You should check it out." We had
Okay.
just played Duel for Cardia the night before, Amelia and I, and this game is called Perry, and it is from Giant Leap Games. And the designer's name I cannot find here. Cam. That designer's name is Cam.
Okay.
It's a medieval kind of jousting game, sort of, where
Yeah.
much like Duel for Cardia, you're laying out cards at the same time, and you'll reveal them at the same time. And there's very simple systems for like color matching, and if you predict what card your opponent puts down, put down the same card, then you kind of take the offensive from them, right?
Okay.
So the you're trying to push a little pawn off the board basically,
Hmm.
and if you can do that, then you win. And so as you're like guessing each other's kind of moves, then you can push it like back and forth. It was very simple. There's only maybe 24 25 cards, but it's got this cool medieval like art style to it that I really enjoyed. And it was really neat. It was just like a really simple game that I feel like is gonna hit for people that like Duel for Cardia. This is like a almost simpler version of it because
Interesting.
there are more basic kind of powers, but like still a great like, hey, we've got 15 minutes, let's pull out this little two-player game and duel back and forth. I think that's coming to Kickstarter in the next month or two. But I really like the designer. He was a super nice guy, and I really enjoyed our like 20-minute demo of the game. I thought it was a lot of fun. So
That's
those are
cool.
three that definitely stood out to me.
Nice.
How about you? What were some of the maybe memorable games that you played on this trip?
First off, I'll mention Table Golf Association. Have you seen this game or
I
heard of
have
it
seen
before?
it, but I have never played it.
Okay, so think crokinole mixed with golf,
Nice.
right? So you've got tiles that represent the different terrain that you'll encounter on a golf course. You got water, you got sand, you've got the rough, you got the fairway, you got the green, you got trees, and all of them will affect the ball in different ways. And basically, your golf ball is this little, it's like a plastic ring with a ball bearing inside of it, and you're flicking it. And there's rules on how far it can go. Like, you can't flick it too far because that's not realistic in golf, apparently. And so, I don't know. I've wanted to try this since I saw it on Kickstarter. I couldn't justify backing it because I didn't know how much we would play it. And they had it in the library. And Nehemiah, our 15-year-old, was actually like, hey, I want to play that. Caitlin was not thrilled. She did not like it that much, which was kind of sad because she has enjoyed like Tumbling Dice and Crokinole and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So I thought she would at least have fun with it. But it was also at the end of the day, and I think she was kind of tired, and there were some other frustrations throughout the day. But she didn't enjoy it as much as I was hoping she would. She also won, of course, and I was like, "Well, hey, you've been griping the whole time, but you at least won the game." And so it was just super unique, right? Like, I think flicking games are one of those things that they can either be really fun or very meh, depending on
Yeah.
how they play out. And the game comes with like a whole bunch of tiles, and there's 4 like pre-designed holes that you can follow, or 3 maybe. I think it was just 3, and that's what we played. But then there's rules and parameters for how you design your own, and I think we ended up designing one of our own as well. And so it's just super cool. Like, it was really neat. It was fun. Uh, both Nehemiah and Jamie really enjoyed it, and I had a blast with it. I think Caitlin had an okay time. Her biggest gripe that day was she wanted to play like some games, right? And but the struggle was is Nehemiah was actually wanting to play games, but he's very particular and he doesn't want to play anything that's too heavy, takes too long, and he wants to play something he's interested in. And so he kept picking games, and she was like, "Can we not play stupid games anymore?" Which was totally fair, and I didn't disagree with her on. But this was one I was really excited about, and I told her, I was like, I even had this on my list of games in this library I wanted to play. She's like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "Yes, it was supposed to be fun. Like, we're just supposed to have fun." So
Crazy
most
idea.
most of us enjoyed it. And I think given a different circumstance, she probably would have had more fun with it. But I will say it was really friggin' hard. Like, you could not flick it very hard or it was just gonna go.
Yeah.
And so it was really tricky. And it followed standard golf rules where if you flicked it off the tiles, you put it back where you started and took a 1-stroke penalty. If it stopped in the water, you put it where it went into the water with a 1-stroke penalty.
Yeah.
And then there were some interesting flicking rules where if it's in the sand trap, you have to hit it with your non-dominant thumb,
That's weird.
right? Like, and there was another one that you had, I forget what the terrain was,
Practicing.
but you had to flick it with your non-dominant hand. And
Uh-huh.
so, it was just some interesting, rules and how they played it out. Now I found out in looking up the game online to post about it that there's like a whole competitive world around this game,
No
and
surprise.
it's wild. There's like people, that's what they travel and they play in tournaments, and so it's super cool. I don't know how you get really good at it because it's just that thing rolls really easily. So that was probably
That's
the
awesome.
most that's probably the most unique and memorable game that we played. All right, so we've both rattled off a few games here. Let's pivot. And I know Columbus isn't necessarily the food mecca of the Midwest in the U.S. here, but I'm curious. I've heard that there's some good food to be had there. So, what were some of your food highlights? What was the favorite thing you ate? What stood out to you that way?
Yeah, well, we were only there a short time, and as you know, we do the let's bring some food from home so that we can not eat out every meal and things like
Yes,
that. So we did
wise.
breakfast and lunch and things based on just what we brought. But we did go out for dinner both nights that we were there. The last night on Sunday, we went actually to see my nephew, which was super fun. He lives, two of my nephews live in Ohio, and so we went to the house of one of them, and the other nephew came over and
Nice.
got to meet his wife and kids for the first time, which was really exciting. They had a very small kind of wedding and things, and they got married, and we just have not had a chance to connect with them. We've connected with Trenton, our nephew, a couple of times, but haven't connected with his family. They've been on it's been on like family trips that his wife had just had babies, so they weren't there, and she wasn't
Gotcha.
there, and things like that. So anyway, but we did go out twice, and we went to two places that again my nephew Trenton recommended, and I feel like we made the right choices. Exactly. We went to a place called Wario's, and it is just a block away from the convention center, and
Nice.
it's a there's like outdoor seating. There's some indoor seating too, but it was lovely weather out, so we ate outside. There's like a counter where you go up, and they have like 6 different types of sandwiches, cheesesteak type sandwiches and fried chicken sandwiches and things like that. On it was delicious. We bought two and a side of these like smashed fried potatoes they do.
Ooh,
We should have just bought one sandwich because they were enormous. Amelia ate the half of the other sandwich for lunch the next day, and then
nice.
the second half we were like, oh, I guess this is just we're done with this, which was very sad. It was delicious, but really, really good stuff there for sure. And I would definitely go back there if we go to Origins again. They're pricey, right? Like it's like $18 a
Whew.
sandwich basically, but they are huge, which is
Yeah.
why we should have just ordered one. Huge and really delicious.
So he recommended it. He didn't tell you the right way to approach it, unfortunately.
No, he said he recommended one of the sandwiches as being really good, but he didn't say like there is enough here in one sandwich for a small family. So, so, but he's in his like late 20s, early 30s, and so I'm sure for him one sandwich is like, yeah, that's great. I'll just down that whole thing. I, as we know, am no longer in my late 30s or even early 40s. Therefore, it was a lot. So
Yeah, that's fair.
that was really good. And then right across the street from the convention center, also there's a place called Mikey's Late Night Slice, and they sell pizza. And as you might guess, they sell it by the slice, and they just have 4 or 5 standard flavors, and then a pizza of the week. I think it was a mac and cheese and sausage, which
Ooh,
sounds weird, but we both, Amelia and I, split one of those and thought it was pretty good. Just again, nice, not too crazy price. A couple of good slices of pizza, so it
nice.
was pretty good. Again, we got to eat outside, so that was really nice. Also, the weather was beautiful. We were there. It's been very humid, as it tends to be in the South, and dry here,
Yeah.
and very hot. And so, going up to Columbus, we were like, "Wow, this is beautiful weather." We have not. It shouldn't be. We're not used to being this cool in the middle of June after living in the South for so long. So, yeah, those are the two places we ate. Very, very good stuff.
Nice. That's good.
How about you? Did you have any good food either at the cafe or elsewhere?
Yeah, so the cafe has some really good sandwiches and dirty sodas. And so we all, first day that we were there, we got lunch there, and and everything's named, well, all their food anyway are all named after games.
Oh, cool.
I got the El Dorado, which was smoked sausage, bacon, and jalapeno mayo on a
Oh,
toasted hoagie, and it was phenomenal. Caitlin and I made the decision. We picked out two sandwiches and we were going to share half and
yeah.
half. It was funny, like we shared some, and I was like, "Well, do you?" I gave her half of mine, and she gave me half of hers, and I was like, "Do you like mine?" And she was like, "Yeah, it's fine." I was like, "Well, do you want the rest of yours back, and I'll take the rest of mine back?" Because I think we both liked what we got better. And she got the Chick-a-Pig, which was smoked pulled chicken with Mexican cheese, bacon bits, crispy onion and jalapeno topping, and jalapeno garlic mayo.
Oh.
And it was also really good, but I really liked the sausage on the one that I got better, and it was great.
By the way, that was our plan with the sandwiches too. We got two so that we could split them and share them. But we finished the first one and we were both like, "I'm too full for a second sandwich here."
And then I got a Coke-Nado, is what the dirty soda was called, which was Coca-Cola with lime, coconut, and cream. And it
Nice.
was fantastic.
Yeah.
And they had another one that sounded really good that I was trying to decide between, but Nehemiah ended up getting it. And it was, I forget the exact name. It was like butter something. It was a riff on butterbeer, right?
Right.
But they couldn't use that for trademark purposes. But it was root beer, butterscotch, and cream, and maybe something else. They had like a special summer menu with some that they don't normally have, and I couldn't find it online. I don't remember exactly everything that was in it, but it was amazing. And if we had gotten dirty sodas again there, I was going to get that one because I really liked it as well. But the food's great. We really enjoyed it. And we had some food one night when we were there a couple years ago, and we'll happily eat a meal there when we're hanging out and playing games, because number one, they're not crazy expensive,
Yeah.
and they put quite a bit of toppings on them, and they're really tasty. And so
That's awesome. Yeah, those sandwiches both sound really tasty to me. And Amelia, I don't drink a lot of soda. Basically just drink water, but
Yeah.
Amelia loves a dirty soda,
Oh,
so
I
I'm
do
sure
too.
she would be all over that.
I primarily drink water, but dirty sodas lately we're really enjoying.
Yeah.
I try not to drink too many, but they also have something that's really interesting. How much do you like pickles, Joel?
I do like pickles quite a bit.
Okay. Have you ever had the thought that what if I want a sandwich, but instead of putting it in bread, I put it and stuff it inside of a giant pickle?
I actually have done that before.
Okay. So they have sandwiches that you can get. I think it's called In a Pickle. And they literally slice open a giant pickle and make a sandwich out of it. And I was like, I like pickles. I don't know if I like pickles that much. So
I think it came about as like an option for people looking for like low carb things. They're
sure.
like,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
bread, I'll just do pickles. And I tried it and I was like, no, I prefer the bread
Yeah.
because this
Now,
is a lot.
I've done something similar trying to cut them on carbs where I would I would take the lunch meat and I'd put a pickle spear and I would
Yeah.
roll it, but
So you did the inverse pickle
yeah, that's a
sandwich.
lot of pickle. That's a high pickle to stuffing ratio. And I think it needs to be a little more equal or more on the meat and cheese side. And I say that as someone that likes pickles. So, but yeah, so that was fun. There's a really good barbecue restaurant that we go to a lot while we're there. And it is called Getting Basted, which is
Nice.
really funny. And we tried a different barbecue restaurant, but that's another topic. But Jamie saw a sign for this chicken restaurant called Side Chick, which is also really funny.
Also funny,
Well,
yes.
come to find out, it is owned by the same people, and so some of the similar artwork and stuff, but Side Chick is strictly chicken. So they have like standard fried chicken meals, so you can get dark meat meal or a white meat meal, you can get wings, but then they have a whole section on their menu that is like fried chicken sandwiches, or you can get them grilled, and it's a bunch of different options of basically either sauces or seasonings in the breading, and some of the toppings change. So you get just a standard fried chicken sandwich or a spicy chicken sandwich or a buffalo chicken sandwich, or I got one that was pickle, and so they put dill seasoning in the batter and they're supposed to put extra pickles on it and stuff. And I think Nehemiah got a chicken bacon ranch or something, but holy cow, the food was amazing. The fried chicken was crispy breading, juicy center, just like a good piece of fried chicken should be. Some of the best fried pickles I've ever had. We love fried pickles, and these are up there with some of the best. So
Nice.
we're really glad Jamie saw that and asked to go there, because it was probably my favorite thing we ate while we were there that trip. So we'll have to go back. And I've even told some family, like, hey, y'all are going to Branson soon. You should go here because it's really good.
That's awesome.
I want to know about people. We
Yeah.
talked about the community aspect. I know I've seen some pictures and I'm not jealous at all, but you got to see and hang out with some of my favorite people in the world.
Yeah.
And so tell me about who you got to meet for the first time, who you got to reconnect with, who you got to play games with, and talk about some of that community aspect of the convention.
Yeah, well, let me talk about it first from the community fan side, and then the community connection side. So,
Okay.
um,
Fans, you mean you met some listeners and they fangirled over you at the convention?
oh, always that happens everywhere I go, though. But no, I mean, I was a fan. One of the things
Oh,
I was
okay.
excited to do was I went to the Secret Cabal meetup on Friday night. They have whenever they go to Origins, they do a meetup there on the Friday evening, and they are some of the podcasters that got me interested in podcasting because they
Okay.
create such a good vibe of like friends around the table talking, which I feel like we're also aiming for, what with being friends and all that kind of stuff,
Right,
right?
right, right,
Where it's
right.
not just about like board game news and strategies. It's about just like chatting with friends and things. So I really enjoyed going to their meetup event and got to meet not all of the Secret Cabal members, but several of them, 3 or 4 of them, and had good conversations with a couple of them.
That's cool.
And so, including Dawn, who I just want to shout out because he gave a really great we had a great conversation about like how you create that vibe around a podcast and things like that. He started as a fan of the show and then became a co-host later on.
Okay.
And he also made some great game recommendations for me that I'm excited to check out a little bit later. But that was just really fun because, it's another way in which board games are communities. And I know there's this little bit of a parasocial element, right? With like, who do you actually know versus who are you just like interacting with online? And so it's always really fun to like make it an actual interaction for a
Yeah.
little while and to connect with them and learn about their approaches and their ideas and their preferences and get some tips and things from them. And I did, give them all a sticker for the Oak and Onion podcast.
Hey,
So maybe one of these
nice.
days they'll listen, because why not, right? It could happen.
Yeah. So speaking of, real quick,
Yeah.
one of my questions was, and you set it up, I'm curious to know from a selfish perspective of self promotion, how many Oak and Onion stickers did you hand out while you were at Origins?
Okay, so first of all, remember that we were only there for a short time,
I know. I
but
mostly put this in there as a joke, but
we probably handed out about a third of the stack that you sent us, and you sent
okay.
a big stack.
Well, I think that was a fourth of what I ordered when I got them. So
Well, yes, I every publisher I talked to, most of the people I talked to, I did pass
nice.
along stickers, and I did leave a sticker for Oak and Onion on the trash can at Wario's, which
I
is
saw that
they had
picture. That was
a
great.
sticker collection there. So I was like, well, maybe someone will randomly be like, "What's this?" and listen in.
Nice.
So if you're
Well,
that person, send us an email. We'd love to hear it.
hopefully you gave some stickers to some of my favorite people. So
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah. That was the part of me getting to be a fan, but the part of being like a, part of this community of gamers and things, and those who are end up being, I hate using the word influencers because I think that just sounds so silly, but like, you interact with a lot of people online and start to meet them at conventions more and more, and that's one of, honestly, the best parts of conventions is getting
mhm.
to connect with people and meet new people and things like that. So we played with a ton of different people. Well, that's not true. We hung out with a ton of different
There you go.
people.
Yeah.
We only played with some of the people, unfortunately, just given how time works. Let's see. I'll try and name many of them, but I know I'll miss some of them. Audrey from Wanderer Meeple, she
Yeah.
was there. Cassie Tabletop Ticker, she was there. Emerson from Royal Docs and Games, that was my first time meeting him. Super nice guy. And his wife, also Emily, we got to meet them. And would love to connect with them some more. They were really fun. Ian Klein, we follow each
Nice.
other on multiple platforms, and he was giving a demo for Whisperwood from not chemical, uh, Cardboard Alchemy. I was looking at him, and I'm terrible with names, just so you know. Like, I think I learned so many names from teaching students, and then, one of my coworkers likes to say, when he's thinking about students who he's taught in the past and then they come back and see him, he's like, you have to introduce yourself again, because like, I only have so many slots for names in my head. And when you leave, another student takes that place. It doesn't mean I didn't like you. It just means I can't remember 5,000 people that I've taught over the years,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I will remember your face, but not your name. So anyway, I was watching him give this demo. I'm like, that guy, I know that guy. I have no idea who that guy is, but I know him. And
And you
he looked
probably
up.
recognize he's got a very distinct voice too. So if you heard him
Yes.
talking, it's like I've heard that in my ears before.
And he looked up and recognized me and like gave me a hey. And I was like, okay, I do know this guy. And I had to do the awkward, like, I'm so sorry, I cannot remember your name. But he was very gracious about it, and super, super cool guy. We
Nice.
spent a lot of time, when we get to some of the games we played, we spent a lot of times with Adam of Tabletop Vibes
Yep.
and Reggie. I can't remember the name of Reggie's Rundown, I think is the channel. Um, I'll have to look that up to make sure. But we played some games with them. Super, super cool people. I was excited to meet Mo, who runs Ashy Feet Games. He and I have interacted a
Yeah.
lot online. Just the nicest guy in the world. Really enjoyed connecting with him a little bit. And there were so many others that we got to meet and spend time with. I already mentioned Cam from Great Leap Games, and Waleed, who is designing. He designed the new K-pop Demon Hunters version of Love Letter that's coming out.
Oh,
And so that was,
interesting.
yeah, he's a really nice guy again. PJ from Meeple to Meeple
Yeah.
was awesome.
Love that dude.
A hilarious story where apparently I have met Boots, who is Board Games First, and I did not remember that at all. And so at one point I was like, "Hey, what's your name?" And he's like, "You don't remember?" And I'm like, "Oh no, this is like my worst nightmare, right?" And he gave me a hard time the rest of the time, but I will never forget
As they
Boots
should
again.
give you a hard time.
They should, yeah, they should. Will, who has a brand new Instagram account called Will It Game, really great guy also. And just, there were so many others. It was a great time. I really do just enjoy uh that opportunity to see people and connect with them. And a special shout out, I would say, to um Audrey and Cassie, because they are really awesome at like creating a sense of community and like inviting everyone in to spend time with them and create space and things. And so
Yeah.
yeah, they're just
Audrey's a
really,
sweetheart.
she's super great. And like she was messaging me after, and Audrey, just to be clear, Audrey took like a 16-hour bus ride to get to this. and
Yeah.
and afterwards, when she was going home on Sunday, she was messaging me like, "Is everything okay? Did you guys get home okay?" And I'm like, "Oh,
Did you have another disaster?
we haven't left yet." Yes, I know. They were weird. I haven't even explained that story
No,
yet on
you
the
haven't.
podcast here. So
We're all waiting with bated breath.
let me tell you about the experience we had getting there. So we'd already known, as I said, that we weren't going to get there till Friday. We were gonna, we weren't gonna be able to leave till after work. It's about an 8.5 hour drive.
Oh, that's
Uh,
not bad at all.
it's not terrible, but when we were leaving after 4 o'clock, we were like, we're going to stop overnight somewhere. So rather than get there at 2 in the morning or whatever. So we had planned a halfway point in West Virginia. And as we were still in North Carolina and driving, it started pouring rain. I mean, pouring rain. And the type
Yeah.
of rain where, both of us, Amelia was driving, both of us are sort of locked in, and because you can only see about 10 feet ahead of you, right? So making
Yeah.
sure we're in the right lanes and things like that. We're half paying attention to the GPS, but just to make sure we're not missing a turn or something. Um, and it was pretty intense for probably 20 or 30 minutes there. And right as the rain kind of comes to a stopping point, so does traffic. And suddenly it's like clear weather, but nobody's moving. And we weren't sure exactly why. We're on a 4-lane divided highway, right?
Gotcha.
There's a median in the middle and things. And I can kind of see, it looks like maybe there's a tree across the road, but I can't see super well, like between the cars. And so Amelia kind of opened her door to like get up on the running board a little bit and try and see a little better. And like, yes, indeed, there's a tree that has come down across this highway. And there's like, there is a little bit of space that maybe people could go into the median around it, but like not quite enough. And someone about 4 or 5 cars ahead of us has like stopped their car. They've gotten out. They're pulling branches, right, trying to move this thing to clear a path. And
Yeah.
Amelia was like, "Well, do you want to get out and help?" And I'm like, "Sure, I'll get out and help here. It's a full tree, but we'll see what we can do here, right?" And right as I am opening the door, a police car kind of pulls up around the car next to us, and then we see through a little gap another guy pull over, and well, he's pulled over already, and he goes to the back of his car and gets out like 2 chainsaws, and we're like, okay, I'm gonna let the pros handle this here. Like,
There you
if
go.
if strangers are wheeling chainsaws around, I don't necessarily want to be right in the mix for that. I think we'll be okay here. We'll just wait out a little bit longer. They cleared it really quickly. Within 5 or 6 minutes, traffic is moving again, and we go on down the road for another hour or so, where we're going to stop and have some dinner. And we got the car. We're just at a McDonald's or whatever. And Amelia's like, "Okay, let me grab my purse. Where's my purse?" And I'm like,
Oh
"I don't know. We've
no.
been in the car the whole time. Your purse is here somewhere." We're both checking under the seats and things like that. And suddenly she gets this look of terror on her face. And she's like, "I opened the car door." And she had her purse down on, she was driving. She had the purse down on the left side. And when she
Oh
opened the door,
no.
the purse fell out.
Uh,
So she's panicking a little bit. I'm trying to stay cool. It's totally an act. I'm not upset. I'm not mad at her or anything. It's totally an accident. And she
right.
clearly feels terrible. So I'm like, it's okay. It's not going to be, it'll be fine. It's just going to be on the side of the road. I pull up my phone, find my iPhone, where her location is shared. I'm like, look, we've got a location here. So we're going to just turn around. We're going to go there and we're going to see if we can find it. And the purse isn't moving. So we don't think anyone has or the phone location isn't moving. We don't think anyone has picked it up or anything like that.
That's good.
Which is really good. So I'm like, okay, optimistic. Turn around, drive an hour back. We get to where the thing says the phone is. This is not the right location, at all. This is not where the tree is down. We know, we were about 50 feet away from where this tree is down. The tree is still partly down, right? You can see it over the guardrail on the side. And so we're like, okay, this is wrong. I'm climbing up the embankment to see maybe are we just on the other side of the road? Is it over here somewhere? There's nothing. And so at this point, we're like, okay, this is maybe a problem. I call the police and I'm like, there was a police officer there. This is not an emergency, calling 911 because we don't know what county we're in or anything. I'm like, this is not an emergency. It's okay. But I explained the situation. There was an officer there and they were like, well, what county were you in? I'm like, I have no idea. And they're like, okay, we'll connect you to Highway Patrol. So Highway Patrol is like, okay, and this was a police car that pulled over, not a Highway Patrol car. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, I don't know then who it is.
Helpful, thanks.
Yeah. He's like, but let me connect you with this police department. So he transfers us. Next to the police department's like, no, but we did have a deputy on the way home we did have an officer on the way home who mentioned a tree being down, but he doesn't live in this county. He lives in this other county. Let me transfer you to them.
Jeez,
so they transfer us to another police department where the guy is like, oh yeah, I think we did. Let me find the deputy who helped with that and he'll give you a call back. So we wait and we're just on the side of the road. So we're like, well, let's just drive around a little bit, see what we can find. And the officer who'd called us was like, it was on Highway 52. So we're like, okay, we'll just drive along Highway 52 a little bit. And we disagree a little bit on which direction we should go. Should we be north or south from where we are? And then we discover there's an old Highway 52 also. So we're like, was it old Highway 52? Anyway, it takes about 45 minutes to an hour for the officer to call back. By this time it is blackout, right? It is 9:30. We're in the outside of town on a highway and things like that, but the officer's like, yes, here's where this tree went down. So we were like, okay, we're gonna go up there. We drive up there, pull over, see where the tree went down, and now it is raining again. It's dark out. We are along the side of the road with only my phone flashlight as cars are still driving down the highway, at 75 miles an hour and things like that. And I'm waving my phone flashlight back and forth trying to find it. And Chris, we found the purse.
Wild.
It was there. This was a brand new purse Amelia had bought probably 2 weeks before. The most expensive purse she's ever bought. Completely ruined. Because we were probably the first car to drive over it, but it has been driven over, for the past 2.5 hours at this point, 3 hours. And so we find the purse, the wallet's inside, all her driver's license, ID, medical cards, all that kind of stuff is inside. She goes back to the car and she's looking through it. And I'm like, I don't think, I'm like, I think the reason that the phone took us to the wrong place or the Find My iPhone is because the phone was destroyed already and that was just the last cell tower.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go back one more time and find it. And I found, needless to say, Amelia now has a brand new phone, an iPhone 17. She's very excited about it. But we ended up getting to our hotel that night instead of 9:00 as we had planned at about 1 a.m. And so we slept in the next day and we didn't get to Origins until probably 3:00 in the afternoon on Friday.
And had to stop and get a new phone on the way.
Well, we didn't actually.
You didn't? Okay.
We didn't. We went to the Apple store when we got there and they were like, yeah, it's going to be a 3-hour wait. And so we were like, okay, because this was Juneteenth, right? A lot of people are off work and stuff. And so we were like, that's okay. And so she just didn't have a phone for the weekend. We got one when we came back to town to Raleigh and things, and she was fine with it. But yeah, what an adventure it was.
Yeah.
So that did definitely maybe make our feelings about Origins a little bit less positive than they would have been already. Not the fault of Origins to any extent, but just a hard time getting there. So
Yeah.
yeah, so everybody was very concerned for us and very checking in on us and things after that to make sure we were okay and things. So
Yeah.
very appreciative for the people who were so supportive of us and understanding.
Yeah.
It was quite an
That's
experience. So
Caitlin and I joked. We typically are known for having unfortunate luck just in general in life, but I don't know that I've met anybody that when they travel constantly has really bad luck, even more so than we do. And I feel like every trip I've heard y'all be on, something like this happens.
well, usually it's just a matter of the phone is forgotten somewhere.
At a
Uh,
restaurant 30 minutes away.
yes, or yeah, in a bathroom at a gas station or whatever the case may be,
Not that
right?
either of those scenarios happened ever.
Like Amelia now has a chain that she connects her phone to specifically for conventions because otherwise she will leave it somewhere. But now she's like, all right, I guess when I drive, I cannot take my purse off at any point either. So
Or
it's
put
just
it like in the back seat. I don't know. Like
listen, I am not one who's going to give her advice on how to manage her own purse.
I'm
That
I'm
is
I'm not either. And that's not what the next thing I'm gonna say is. But I'm just gonna say I've never seen, met, or heard of anyone who puts their purse in between their seat and the door on that side. So I'm just
she's
like trying to
she's done it
figure
for
out.
as long as we have been married. That is where she has
So
put it.
I've never seen anybody put a purse there before. And Amelia, I'm
Uh,
not judging you. I'm not being mean. I just have never seen that before. So that's, man.
that
But
yeah,
hey,
it was.
you're still alive and you made it and didn't have any major issues as far
That's
as
right.
like,
And
you
and
didn't
we
end up flipping your car 5 times on the highway and
no,
almost dying in a fiery blaze. So
she has flipped her car on the highway too, but that was many years ago. That wasn't related to a convention. So uh, all right, let's get back to some games. Can I
okay.
tell you about
Yeah,
some of
yeah.
the games that we played that we
Yeah.
were pretty excited
Tell
about?
me, give me a few library highlights. They've got just some background if you're not familiar with Origins. I think it's the Greater Columbus Gaming Association group. Something there's some like technical term about Greater Columbus Gaming. They have a library and they bring their library to Origins, and it is big
It
and
is
has
very
a
big.
lot of games. And
Yeah,
we
and I
enjoyed it
went
last year, and I'm sure you did this year. So,
well, not until the last day. I wish I had spent more
oh,
time with it because we had brought some games and
okay,
we picked up some games and things like that. So
sure,
it wasn't till the last day when many of our friends had taken off. We were like, well, it's just the two of us. Let's see what we can find here. So the big highlight for us from the library was we played Cities from DeVere for the first
it's a
time.
fun game.
It's a fun, solid little not bag builder, solid little city builder that
Yeah,
doesn't require a ton of thought. It's just a pleasurable
yeah,
experience, right? Like there is strategy, there is thinking, but it's not overwhelming at all. It was one of the last games we played, and it was really a great way to
yeah.
end the convention.
It's
And
good.
yeah, it's now on my radar to pick up because I think Amelia enjoyed it quite a bit, and so did I. So
It's another, and I've said this before. Phil Walker Harding, he's he's not like the designer that everyone talks about with all of his hot games, but every game he puts out is solid, and he
yeah,
doesn't get talked about enough.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, so that was definitely a library highlight. Like I said, I wish I had gone there sooner because they do have a huge
Yeah,
selection of pretty much anything you could want, from the lightest of light stuff to the heaviest of heavy. So
yeah,
I
absolutely.
was very impressed with that. Let me tell you about some others that we played, though.
Okay,
I mentioned Adam from Tabletop Vibes. Our favorite game, I think, for both of us that we played at the convention was Fest Season from Green Astra Games,
okay,
and I had missed this one completely. I think it was a Kickstarter. Um, and I think they're going to do a second printing of it. I hope so anyway, because it seems to be sold out in the US. This is a game in which you are putting together a music festival, and it's got vibes kind of Arc Nova, where you're like setting up stages and putting like pavilions and restrooms and food shops around the stages. You're also trying to manage the bands that you're going to have performing at each venue, and you want to schedule it so that for every stage you put in your board, you have a kind of like a schedule of bands that you're going to schedule there, and you want to make sure that you don't have, you know, two heavy metal bands scheduled at the same time period on two stages, because that'll split
Sure.
the audience, right? You're trying to move up on your audience tracks and your, you know, various incomes and things. And there's a ton of combo building in the game where you're like, okay, I'm going to do this main action in order to get this bonus, which will allow me to move up on this track, which will give me that bonus, which will allow me to do this other thing for free over here. And it was super fun. We both just thought it was like really a satisfying game to play.
Nice.
I came in dead last, like 30 points behind everyone else. So the other three
Yeah.
players were all very close together. I don't know what I was doing, but it
It's
doesn't
got to
matter.
happen to somebody.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It was still a really fun time. And so that is one that I had not heard of before that is now like very much on my radar that I want to spend more time with. And I've already been like scouring BGG. Like, is there someone that will trade this with me? There's like one person or two people that have it for trade. So they
Now,
both said no already.
I think I saw Adam post a story or a picture with you in it. Was
Yeah.
that what y'all were playing? It's got a
Yeah.
pretty sizable board and table presence.
Yeah,
Okay.
the
Yep.
the board's actually really cool. You have your own player board, which again, like Arc Nova, has like slots where you're going to put in your different park tiles and things. So you're building the hex tiles out on your own board,
Yeah.
and then the main board has like tiles that are available, musicians that are available, and all the musicians have like very fun, like punny names. You know, comparing them to real musicians. I can't remember off the top of my head, but instead of like Pearl Jam, it would be like Diamond Marmalade or something like that, right? Like those sorts of things where you can usually tell
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
what band they're parodying.
Yeah.
And then there's these three areas. So one of them, I'm forgetting one of them. One of them is to take a tile, buy a tile. One of them is it's buying a card that will give you some free actions when you play it down. But you're just kind of buying it into your hand first. And then one of them is to buy musicians. And they all have like little sliders on the side that you move. They look like on an audio
Yeah.
track board, right? You move those up. And when any slider gets to the top, there's one main slider at the top that you start to move up. And when that hits the top, the game is over. And
Okay.
so you're trying to balance a little bit. Like, I want to get this combo. But if I do that, that's going to bump us very close to the end of the game, and I'm not really ready for the game to end yet. So maybe I'll try something else here first and things. I don't know. Everything about it was really enjoyable.
Yeah.
That was probably my favorite of the convention.
Nice.
With one other front runner for also favorite that I actually played, and that is Moitura.
Ooh,
You were right.
yeah.
That's a great game.
It's so good.
I demoed that at the Bite Wings game booth, and I think we were supposed to just do like half a game, but the guy I was playing with, we just kept playing, and the demo guy kept like flipping cards to
Yeah.
run the third faction and things, and so we played the entire game, and I immediately bought it. It was great.
Nice.
Yeah, I really really enjoyed that quite a bit. And I know talked about that a lot on a recent episode, but so I won't say a ton about it here, other than really great to have a two-player like battle game, but where you're not actually battling each other. You're trying to like maximize your positioning.
Yeah.
And so there's not any of that like, oh, you know, killed all my guys. I've spent so long putting them up. It's like, oh, you've blocked me off there. So how can I jump over you,
Yeah.
or, move a different direction to block you off a little bit more instead? And I think it was really great, and I'm excited to play that one with Amelia. I think she's really going to like it too.
Nice. And then you both have to make sure you're doing well enough that you both beat the game.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just it's got a really interesting tension and game flow.
Yeah.
It's funny. Kyle and I were
totally
just
agree.
texting. He taught his partner Azure, and they had a good time with it. And I mentioned Moitura. I was like, man, I want to play that again. And I told him, I said, Joel played it at Origins. I can't wait to hear what he says about it. So
Yeah, I loved it. So
good.
And I invested in the deluxe also to get the little
The
poker
chips,
chips.
yeah,
They're really
yes,
nice.
they're so cool. I like what Bitewing does. They're similar to All Play in that, where they've got just their standard games great, but if you want to pay a little extra to upgrade the components and get a mini expansion, you can.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
pretty much all of their games do that, and it's
Yep.
really good.
Yeah, I also got to look while I was there at Rolling Deep, which is now on Kickstarter, and fell in love with it. I love what it's doing. It is really cool, and so I'm backing that one now. Also,
Nice.
good stuff. Sure, I know you're not a solo guy, but like
Uh,
I think it's going to be a classic of the solo
yeah,
field for a while to come.
that's cool. I hope I get to try it at some point because
Yeah,
I would like to try it. Those types of games, not just solo, aren't usually my jam, but they're super intriguing to me. I just,
yeah,
but yeah, I think that Kickstarter is going to go really well for them.
yeah. It
It
seems to
looks
be
great. The
already.
art, the components, it looks fantastic. So,
Yeah. While I'm talking Kickstarter, let me just throw another one out there that is currently on Kickstarter. That is Siege Perilous from Play to Z.
okay.
I spent some time looking at that with the owner of Play to Z, Zev Schlesinger, and he is a really cool guy. This is like an Arthurian themed game where you are. There's sort of like some narrative and story that you're like going on quests and things like that, but it's very much a Euro in its mechanisms in terms of trying to like maximize the different ways that you're going to do different types of things. I'm not going to go into the gameplay too much. What I wanted to talk about instead was the art. The art in this is awesome. It
Okay.
is he had some of the original art prints there, and I was thinking about backing this at a level to get an art print, and then I saw those levels start at like $500, so I'm
Oh.
not that committed to it. Uh,
But if you
but
want to
if
gift Joel one, he'll gladly take it.
please, absolutely. If Play to Z is listening and wants to send something my way, no,
Shameless plug.
shameless plug. No, it is really beautiful. It is all handmade art, and I know in the era of AI, that is a thing to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And not only that, it is done in the style of like medieval art, where there's even like gold press around the edges and things. And it's just absolutely beautiful. I'm not totally sure how it's going to look in the final card versions, but I can tell they've spent a lot of money on this art, and they're going to take a lot of care with the art. So I imagine it's going to come out looking really good.
Nice.
I like Arthurian themed stuff. I'm an English teacher. I've got a soft spot for those Arthurian legends and things like that. So I've really got my eye on this one. I haven't fully decided whether or not I'm going to back it yet. I want to look into. I got an overview of the gameplay, but I want to see kind of a little bit more on how it plays. But I'm really intrigued by what I'm seeing there. So
Nice.
definitely one I think to look at as you if anybody is considering it. I think it's worth a look for sure.
Cool.
How about you? What were some of the games that you played that you were excited about?
So we didn't get to spend quite as much time as I was hoping we would, just because
Same.
schedule, yeah, schedule wise things worked out. I was hoping we'd be able to go over 2 full days, and then the day we came home, go spend like a half a day at Silver Dollar City. But Jamie had a friend that lives about an hour and a half away from Branson, and they wanted to meet up and spend the day at Silver Dollar City. So we went a different day and then spent the half day before we came home at the cafe, which was fine. We still had a good time, but we got a good handful of plays in. We tried Blank Slate first, which none of us had ever played. It was an interesting little party game that we were all terrible at.
I
And
don't think I
then
know that one.
it's basically it's one of those where there's a theme and you're trying to match with like one other person on your answer, not a theme.
Gotcha.
It's a
Yeah,
fill in the
yeah.
blank statement. So the clue cards are two-sided. One side is blank something and the other side is something blank, and so you're filling in the blank, and if you match with one other person, you both get like 2 or 3 points. If multiple people match, you all get 1 point. So we're terrible at it, but it was really interesting. We're not huge into party games, but
Yeah.
it was a good one to start with. And then Nehemiah really wanted to play Wavelength because he has really enjoyed that in the past, and so we played a couple quick games of that, which is probably one of definitely Caitlin's favorite party games, and it's up there
Yeah.
for me as well because it's really interesting and it's not as silly and mindless as some of them are, and
Yeah.
the table presence and the mechanism with the wheel is really cool.
Yeah, that's a great game. And I have a copy of it that I keep at school because that's one that
Yeah,
students, even students who think that I'm a big nerd for being into board games, they'll come and be like, "Hey, can we borrow Wavelength during lunch today or whatever?"
yeah, super
And
cool.
yeah, really great game.
And then we got into some not quite so party games. I will say that my assumptions were wrong. And you know what I'm talking about because I already texted you about it. But we tried because after hearing so much about it, they had it on the shelf. I said, we've got to give Magical Athlete a try.
Yeah.
And we had a blast with it. Both Jamie and Nehemiah loved it. Caitlin enjoyed it a lot more than she thought she would. I liked, my favorite part of it was how you drafted the characters and each race felt completely different in the game.
Yes.
And nonsensical, but still had some control and strategy. It was really neat and it was better than I expected. And then we played Hot Streak, which was also enjoyable. I don't think any of us liked it as much as Magical Athlete. And I was talking to Kyle about it and I said, I think the problem is I think our play just kind of fell flat. So if you've played Hot Streak, like the fun would be in the chaos of the characters falling off the map and getting eliminated, moving backwards. None of that happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There were a couple where they fell down or turned around, but then we got a reset card immediately.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
so like the play just kind of fell flat. So I could see there being some really fun, chaotic, silly moments that would make it more enjoyable. We just didn't see that, unfortunately. I don't think there was even a race where one of them got knocked off the board.
Wow. That's really surprising.
Yeah. So I don't think we saw the game in its truest intent that it was intended to be, enjoyed in. So, but I do think we all liked Magical Athlete better. And,
that's fair.
But we really enjoyed both of them and had a good time with them.
I think that's totally fair. And even if you had, you might still like Magical Athlete better, right? Like it's a fun game and there's nothing wrong with it at all. And I don't begrudge anyone for liking it more. I personally like Hot Streak more because of just what you talked about, that kind of chaos and stuff. It can be, I love when it looks like one person's going to do really well. And so, you have a card that's going to make them fall down or veer off course or whatever, and being able to plant that in the deck. That part I think is really fun. But if that's not happening, if it's not playing out that way, then totally, I can see that being a miss.
I think my favorite part of Hot Streak, and I had way too much fun with it, is reading the mascot biographies out loud. It was so much fun.
Did you read the prizes at the end or the fates at the end based on your score?
Life outcome? They were all super depressing. I think I had like $10 at the end of the game. So it was like, hey, you suck. And I was like, wow, I was supposed to play games to escape, but here we are. So next we played Bacon, which I talked about on our card game episode as one of our defining terms. It's a really interesting, it is a trick-taking, card-shedding, ladder-climbing game kind of all wrapped into one. And it's one that I've considered buying in the past, but my initial plays of it, I didn't know how well it would work not in a team format. And I didn't know if everybody would like it. So we played that. We played 2v2. Caitlin and I ended up playing against the kids, and I was like, oh, this is going to be great. No, they stomped us. It was super frustrating. We really enjoyed that one. And interestingly enough, like days after the weekend, after we got home and everything, Nehemiah was just like, man, we should buy that sometime. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? We could have bought it while we were there. I didn't realize he liked it as much as he did. And so we might pick it up at some point, especially if we can find a used copy of it somewhere. But it was really fun. We all had a good time with it. And after playing it again and thinking about it, I don't think it would necessarily be bad if you played 3 or 5 players without being in partners. I think it's a different game, right? Yeah. I think it's going to feel different. The strategy is going to be a little different, but we had a good time with that one.
Nice.
Then we played, Nehemiah picked Space Invaders Dice, which I could see there being a good game in this package. The problem was the rules were atrocious.
Yeah.
And didn't explain it good enough. Like, it could be really fun if the rules made sense and there was like a logical path through the game. And then we played Draft and Write Records, which
classic.
Yeah, which was one of Caitlin's favorite from the weekend. She really liked that a lot. I think we all did. Nehemiah liked it, and he wanted to play it again immediately, actually, because finally by the end of the game, he was like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
But I like how that, Caitlin said something about like, oh, we're card drafting. I was like, yes, We are drafting and writing. Like, and she just rolled her eyes at me. But I had played that at a convention last year and finally got a chance to show it to them. And Nehemiah and Jamie being like in a band together and being all about music and trying to record and write songs and stuff. It was super up their alley theme wise, and they had a blast with it. So,
I haven't played that in quite some time, but that is actually one of my top 5 games that I've played
really,
because of BGA. Because I would just play the solo on
ooh, we should
BGA
play it on
for a
there
while.
sometime.
Yeah, we should.
It's so
But
good.
But even the solo, I would just like set it up, play a game. You're done in 10 minutes. I'm just
Nice.
gonna play another one. Didn't quite get what I wanted that time.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
yeah, it's a quick and really enjoyable one when you're playing it on BGA.
Yeah.
I like it better in person, but
Yeah. And then we ended that day with table golf. I already talked about that. So the last day when we went, we wanted to try a bigger game or two. And we were going to play one, but they were missing a bunch of components out of it to where we couldn't play it. So we ended up putting it back. And we played T-Witches, which is one that I've wanted to try for a while because I keep hearing amazing things about it.
yeah.
And I'm
I
going to
loved it.
spoil one of your questions. One of your questions, were there any misses? I don't know that I want to fully say it's a miss, but it definitely was not my favorite. And Caitlin and I were talking about it. And really it comes down to the fact of depth versus time.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think the depth, it wasn't a deep enough game for as long as it took.
Yeah.
Halfway through the game, I was like, okay, I get it. I'm ready to be done. And we still had 2 more rounds. And I think the artwork, the production, the center board and the way it works with the kind of the lazy Susan type thing, super cool. And I don't think it's a bad design. Mechanically, I really like what it does. I want it to be half as long. And so we were talking about that. Caitlin's like, yeah, this is a 2-player game. Right.
Yeah.
Like for us, like if we played it at 2 players, potentially be done in an hour, I think that's great. It took us 2 hours.
Yeah.
And for the complexity and depth of that game, it's just too long of a gameplay for us anyway.
Yeah, that makes a big difference, I feel like, in a game. If it outstays its welcome, it's just even if it was good for the first half, by the end you're like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah.
And then I wanted to try in person. I saw they had it and I was like, okay, let's end with a game or two of Down Up, your hot new craze. And you had even said I would benefit from playing it in person. I can now, after about 6 or 7 plays in person, tell you that no, I would not, because I still suck at that game. I am terrible, and I don't know why. Granted, we played 5 plays of it, the 4 of us, and Caitlin won, the first 5 plays, she won every time. And like, I think there were 3 of those I didn't even have a single token. So there's just something with that game not clicking in my brain. But we played that and everybody loved it. And I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. Like I had fun with it. And I was like, okay, I see the enjoyment behind the game. I'm going to say I still think I prefer Scout personally. Yeah. But I can see why people like it. And they ended up having a copy and it was 10% off and we bought it. And so now we own it and we've played it 7 or 8 times in the week since we got home. So
that's great.
We're enjoying it. Now, I did make everybody play Scout after it one day last weekend. I was like, okay, we've played this. Now I'm going to teach Scout, because the nice thing is you teach Down Up, you play it a good handful of times. Scout was really easy to teach. It's like, okay, take that idea and here's how the hierarchy works. And it made a lot more sense than just going straight to Scout. So, and I think, as far as favorite games go, I think I would probably say new game wise, I'd have to pick Magical Athlete, just because of how fun it was and how good of a time we had with it. And also coupled with the fact that we didn't play a lot of like good meaty games either. So I don't know that it would have been if we'd have gotten some of the games tabled that I was hoping to. But I think I'm going to pick that one. Jamie said T-Witches, Nehemiah said Bacon, and Caitlin said T-Witches or Draft and Write. She enjoyed both of those. So
nice.
I've got just a few more quick questions for you, and I don't think they'll be as lengthy of answers. What that you came home from the con with? It could be a review copy or it could be a purchase. What are you most excited to table ASAP?
Yeah, so I actually bought more at this convention than I usually do. I usually don't actually buy very much. I pick up, review copies and things and keep an eye on like, oh, this is what I want to look at in the future. But there were several that I picked up this time that I was excited about. On the purchase side of things, I already mentioned Moitura. I did pick up Vivo after your
Oh
recommendation,
yeah,
so I'm
so
excited to
good.
give that a try. Playthings I mentioned already looks exciting. And then I guess I was spending money at the All Play booth. I picked up Torchlit and Ruins also.
Nice. I
Wanted
don't
to
know
try.
much about Torchlit, but
Yeah, it looked interesting, kind of a dungeon delving element to the game. So all of those, if I spent money on it, I'm excited about it. 'Cause
there you go.
otherwise I wouldn't spend money on it.
That
Oh,
makes
and one
sense.
called Canal Houses that
Oh, I don't know much
that
about that.
looked interesting. PJ recommended it. He was like, "Oh, this is really fun." It was like, $15.
Yeah.
Little drafting card game where you are building like houses in Amsterdam,
Okay.
bottoms, middles, and tops that you're passing around and things like that.
Not to put too much stake on what PJ said, but I have found if he highly recommends a game, it usually hits pretty well for me.
That's nice. That's really good. On the review front, there were several that I'm pretty excited about. One that I think is going to be a big release here in the next, excuse me. One that I think is going to be a big release that's out now, but I think is going to start to get a lot more people playing it is Container from All Play just came
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know exactly how quickly I'll get this played because economic games are not necessarily Amelia's favorite,
They're not
but
mine
I'm
either.
I'm excited to give it a shot, and I this seems to have some different elements to it that will at least make it a unique experience.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that looks cool. Resurrection Games, which is a company I had never heard of until a few weeks ago, came out of the gate with a bag building game from DC called the Brave and the Bold,
Yeah.
and it looks like they're taking the design principles of Dice Throne, where each box is a character. You
Yeah.
open up that box, and you've got all the characters' stuff inside, and you can do any two of them head to head. And I had reached out to this company because I was, a couple weeks ago because I was intrigued by it and got no response.
Oh
So I've
no.
stopped by the booth, just being like, "Hey, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm sure a lot of people reach out to you, that kind of
Right.
polite,
Right.
trying to make a connection, be polite, that type of thing." And they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I've been meaning to reply to you. I've got a copy here for you to look at."
Oh,
I'm like,
nice.
"Oh, okay, thanks." So I
Yeah.
think they had lots of review copies there, but it was still, I'm excited to try that one in the very near future.
Cool.
And this is a little bit random, but like I spent some time at the Tuesday Night Games booth. I think they're best known for Two Rooms and a Boom,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
and they
And
had
that's not lemonade.
That's Not Lemonade, yes, which I think is actually a pretty
It
fun,
was, it,
uh,
yeah, it was
little
better than I
game.
anticipated.
Yeah, but they had a couple. One, I was like, I would like to review that because I have a buddy that I think would really enjoy that. It's been out for a while, but it's World Championship Russian Roulette,
Yeah.
and it was funny hearing them talk about that game and basically how they now recognize that that theme is a terrible theme for actually getting people to buy your game. Uh,
Yeah.
so they talked about some ways they're thinking about retheming it when the current stock runs out. There's a type of pepper called the shishito pepper that, like, statistically 1 in 8 or 1 in 10 of them is very, very spicy, and otherwise they're sweet. And they're like, so we may do it as like a pepper eating contest. And I was like, oh yeah, that's going to get a lot
Yeah.
more people will play that with their kids. They're not going to play this one with their kids. But they also had two that I just wanted to mention that were newer. I think newer. Werewolf in the Dark is a werewolf style game, but as the name implies, you play it in the dark. And so
Okay.
there's like a hide and seek element to it where basically if you get tagged, you have to like fall down on the floor until the body gets discovered. And I don't, this is not really my type of game, but it's very unique in the kind of way that they've designed it. Like, even if you get killed, you're not out of the game. You get a little flickering candle and you get to be a ghost that's roaming around after that. And they talk about,
Okay.
like, how you play this in you turn out the lights, give everybody sunglasses to make it even darker, and then the goal is to try and get this thematic experience. It was really unique in the description, and Amelia was intrigued by it. So maybe we'll try and get some friends together to give it a shot later on,
Yeah.
and see it. And the last thing that I wanted to mention on this one is that they had a tabletop role playing game, which is not really my thing. I've never been able to find a group that will play one, so I have never played one. And if there's any listeners that want to do like a digital DMing for me at some point, let me know, and I will pay you to do that because I would like to try it at some point. But this is a new one that they have that I'm like, I might be able to actually run that. So Father Fog is basically a world in which every fairy tale is real. And whatever you know about fairy tales is what your character knows. So you don't have to worry about whether or not there is like, oh, but do they know the story of the big bad wolf? Like, yes, they do. And so if the big bad wolf shows up, it's okay. But there's a really unique system for like how you design your character, develop your character. Death is a thing that like might come for you, and then you can kind of bargain with death. And so maybe you get instead like a major wound, but you also have to so like maybe yeah, maybe death is like, okay, I'm gonna take your left hand, and then in the future, if he comes, again, you're rolling dice to figure out like what death wants. And if he wants your, left pinky finger, but you've already got no left hand, well, I guess you're dead now, and so you have to bring in a second character. When you design characters, you have to design two characters with the
Okay.
assumption that you'll die. So it's sort of actually a horror RPG that is combined with the fairy tale world, and
Sounds interesting.
it sounded really fun. And so I'm excited to take a look at that and see if this is something I can figure out for Amelia and I, or something like that. So I don't know. I just love seeing all the like very unique different types of games that are out there, even if they're not all ones that I can play regularly. They're at least maybe some good options to explore and have a different kind of experience.
Yeah. So the next question, are there any games you get to preview that aren't out yet, that aren't under embargo to not talk
Yeah.
about, that you're excited for?
Yeah, two that I will just mention. Well, I'll mention a couple, but just briefly. There's an Azul Kids that looks really great for younger kids that's coming out. Amelia instantly was like, "Oh, this will be great for my classroom." She's a she's a lower school art teacher. Um, there's some Harmonies expansions that are coming out that look really great. I enjoy Harmonies quite a bit. I think it's a really good game. And then Citadel Duels, I
Okay.
think looks really neat. I have played the regular Citadels only a couple of times, but this Duels version is really cool in the way that you're kind of like choosing which characters you're going to have in your hand to play, and what you're going to give to your opponent, and then what you're going to discard and stuff like that. So really some clever choices there, as well as like a city building element. So you're trying to control the different cities. Each city tiles, each one of them has like a white side and a black side, and depending on which color you are, you're trying to control as much as you can.
Interesting.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
was
think it.
curious how they were going to take Citadels, which I've
Yeah,
only played one time
yeah.
and only at two players, but
Oh, which
just
I
to
think
give it
is
a
not.
try. No,
Yeah, yeah,
it was just to learn it and try it on Board
yeah,
Game Arena one night. But um, even then, I'm just like, okay, taking that and making a two player game, they've got to alter it quite a bit.
yeah,
So
yeah. So very cool. I thought very cool stuff the way they've kind of set that up. And then there's a new game from Next Move Games called Melodies that I think
oh
if
yeah,
you're a
that looked
fan.
cool.
Yeah, if you're a fan of like Take Time or that kind of thing, then I think this is going to be right down your alley. You're trying to play cards down. Everybody's at the table is trying to empty their hands because any cards left over are basically going to make things harder for you in the future. You're trying to empty your hand, but you can't reorganize your hand, and you have to play them down so that basically by the end of it, um, there's a little music card. So think of a staff of music, and it's got like 4 or 5 notes on it. And where those notes are in relation to each other means that's the card that has to be played most in that round.
Okay,
So if it's like, this is going to be hard to explain a little bit, but if you've got like a staff of music, and you've got a note on E, a note on G, a note on B, and a note on F, then in the first round, the card that you use that is the least or that is the most played has to be the lowest card that's played. And in the
interesting.
next round, it has to be the second lowest, third lowest, fourth lowest, right? So there's like a system over the course of the round that you're trying to keep track of to make sure you don't actually accidentally go out with, nines as being the most played card when you really needed it to be lower than six because there's a higher round coming down the line or whatever.
Okay.
This is a bad explanation. I only played it for about 10 minutes, right? But it's another one where there's a lot of like unlockable different scenarios. They're going to change up how you're playing a little bit, give you new powers, new abilities, give you more complex cards to try and arrange, where it's like this one. Now, whatever you played on this last hand, the next one, the most commonly played card has to be one lower than that. So it's
Okay.
not exactly a trick taker, but it's like trying to manage cooperatively, like what can we play here that will get cards out of our hands in either runs or sets, but also be able to meet the goal that each round has.
Yeah.
So it was really neat, and it's definitely one I'm excited to see a little bit more of.
Nice. Yeah. The picture you sent me looked really cool. So I can't wait to see more about that one.
Yeah.
The last question I had for you is, what is the one thing that you feel like you missed out on or regret not being able to do, play, or see at the convention?
Yeah. Great question.
Other than getting there so late.
Yeah. I mean, the real answer is that I just wish we'd had more time to play games, right? Like
Yeah.
we just didn't have enough time. We did play, more than we sometimes get to at conventions, but still there was a whole stack of games that we were like, oh, we should have had a chance to play these.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's anything that I saw that I was like, oh, I wish I'd been able to spend some more time with that. I think in the capstone games they had a room where they had a lot of their upcoming releases, and they would people were there to teach them and kind of I don't think you could play a full game, but you could sort of get a better sense of that, and they
Sure.
have some really cool things coming down the line that looked really interesting to me, including a game that's a re-release of an older game called Quebec, but we're interested in that since we're going to Quebec in a few weeks here this summer. They had Falling just came out from them. That was there, but they had some upcoming stuff that are going to be their Gen Con releases that you could pre-order as well. And I wanted to spend some more time there and didn't get really a chance to. Night at the Zoo, Papiria, Royal Society, Ants, all of those looked like really neat games that I wanted to explore a little bit more, but we just didn't have time to
Yeah.
to spend much time there.
Gotcha.
So we've ended up playing mostly lighter, shorter games, and I would have loved to spend some time playing some heavier stuff. And I think Capstone has some really cool stuff that they do.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's probably where I feel like I maybe missed out a little bit.
So overall, do you recommend Origins?
I do, yeah. Don't lose your phone on the way there. It'll kind of cast a little shadow over the experience, but like there's a really positive kind of chill vibe there. I'm curious if more publishers do kind of stop making it part of their journey, how that might change, because I like the balance between being able to have a pretty solid vendor hall and
Yeah.
having a really good game area. But they are committed to having that good library, to having all types of game experiences, as we talked about with the train games and the miniatures games and all those sorts of things. And Columbus is it's a nice town. There's cool stuff right in the area. I had a great time, and I would be excited to go back for sure.
Yeah, I'd love to make it back. I think if anybody hasn't been that does go to Origins, the nice thing about it to me is technically the convention starts on Wednesday
Yeah.
at noon. Usually you can get your badge, and the library is open at that point all throughout the weekend. The vendor hall doesn't open until Thursday. And last year, I, I don't know if they'll change how the library is set up at all in the future, but I know on Saturday it was really hard to get a game in the library because there was such a long line that you had to wait in, and the in and out system was kind of bottlenecked. But Wednesday there was like nobody there, so it was easy to get a table. It was easy to get in and out of the library and get the game you wanted. So if you do go to Origins, I highly recommend trying to get there by noon on Wednesday, because that is going to be the easiest time you're going to have getting a table and playing as many games as possible in the open gaming hall, just because it's not filled up yet.
Yeah, I think I don't know what they're doing exactly, but I feel like they do a lot to make it um a friendly experience for attendees as
Yeah.
much as possible, right? And that includes, like, one of the reasons we're not going to Gen Con this year is because we just could not find a hotel in a range that was close enough for us that made sense, that was in our price range, right?
Yeah.
And at Origins, I ended up paying a little bit more than I had initially intended, but not by much, like $25 more a night.
Yeah.
And when we arrived, I didn't realize that I had booked the hotel that the convention is at, right? Like,
Oh,
it was that
nice.
affordable, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, there's that element that I think is really appealing to it, for sure, that it's like you can have a great experience there for not the same kind of cost investment that sometimes other conventions require.
Yeah.
Partly because of that great library, partly because the hotels aren't overpriced, right? Partly because there's good food nearby that is, again, reasonably priced, right? Like that $18 sandwich is a lot for a sandwich, but it's also a lot of food, right?
Yeah.
So like, all that kind of stuff, I think, makes it a really positive experience overall. So yeah, I think it was great. If we go again, I do want to go the whole time. I don't want to just show up halfway through Friday, and
Yeah.
because we definitely wanted more time there.
Absolutely.
But yeah, a good time for sure.
Well, cool.
All right. Well, Chris, that is a lot of talk about your Board Game Cafe weekend, my weekend at Origin. So I think that's probably a good place to wrap things up for today, even though we just had one topic.
Yeah.
I think that's good. If you've enjoyed this episode, please rate and review us on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. That's the number one way we can grow the show and bring you more Oak and Onion action and get you more of those stickers that I know everybody wants now. If you want to learn more about what we're up to, you can follow Chris on Instagram as CPWilson_4.
And Joel is on Instagram and TikTok as the Diced Onion.
You can also follow our Facebook page at Oak and Onion. And if you have ideas for how the show could be better, show segments or games we should play, or if you just want to say hi, you can also email us at oakonionpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and then go ahead and find some place to give us that 5-star review so we can keep growing. You can also follow the show on Instagram and TikTok at Oak Onion Podcast, and Chris is committed to adding subtitles to all of our posts there.
And if I don't, Joel's going to keep bugging me about it.
Until next time, keep your onions fresh, your cutting boards clean, and your table welcoming to everyone. We'll catch you next time. We're off to create shelf space for our new summer games.
Which is why I have to turn the air conditioner off, which typically isn't a big deal. But we recorded for over 3 hours Monday night. And at one point I said, Matt, maybe you and I are the problem. Hopefully Joel's not listening.
Oh, we're recording. We've been recording for a while, so.
Yeah, I just went ahead and started it.
I didn't notice. I save all my humor, though, for the podcast. Very dry otherwise.
Very dry. Just a stone over here. Perhaps Blue Ribbon. I'll definitely cut that out of the final edit of the podcast. But
is there a bird?
Yes. Sorry. I've got some birds that are like right outside the window and door here, and it's super loud.
Sorry. I was like, what is happening right now? No, that's all right.
Okay. Sorry. I'm trying to catch my breath. Now, I know Columbus isn't necessarily the food mecca of the Middle East. Let me try that again.
What if it was, though? Columbus, Ohio, food mecca of the Middle East.
Okay, let's try that again. A standard like white meal. For a white meal, there's no spices in it.
And it's problematic. Okay, so let me tell you about getting there, right?
Before you do that.
After this, yes.
And we'll cut. That'll work. All right, I'm going to stop the recording.